episode of Topshelfers podcast, and I'm Wes. If you guys don't know already, grow the fuck up. And with me today, an OG to the Topshelfers podcast.
Hello.
It's Calford.
It's me.
It's me. We back.
It's been a long time, and I'm finally back.
Well, I mean, we were thinking, what, over a year almost?
Yeah, probably. Something. No! Brianna Morrison's birthday party last year. That was the last time that I was ever here.
Oh, that's right. So that would have been...
About a year ago. Because I already had those 1 year ago today Snapchats on my memories like a long time, like a couple months ago. So It's been over a year.
That's crazy.
That was the pizza night, right?
I always get confused because there was like 2 or 3 pizza nights.
Yeah. Because my drunk fat ass was like, okay, let's get some pizza. Like, someone said, hi, who's that?
That's my girlfriend.
Oh,
yeah.
Hi, what's up? How are you? Have I met her before? No?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
She knows you, though.
Oh, she knows me, though?
Yeah,
okay.
She knows you. She's watched most of the podcast now, so.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Now, okay, yeah, she knows me.
So, I mean, over a year, a lot has changed, and I think, like, I know you have a lot of things you want to talk about, and I'm very curious and also glad that you're doing okay, but you had COVID.
Oh, my God. That was something that... Let me first of all say that I don't ever get sick, and when I do get sick, like 3 days, and then I'm back on my feet, and then, like, nothing ever happens. When I had COVID, I was sick for 19 days straight.
Oh, wow.
Could you imagine being so used to never getting sick, and then only being sick for a couple days, 3 days, and then, like... being sick for 19 days straight, like bedridden sick, not just like you're kind of sick, but like your body hurts, you're out of breath, you can't really do anything. Like that kind of sick was so awful.
Oh, I've heard it's miserable. I've heard that it feels like you are doing a constant workout, like of just like everything aches.
Yeah,
you're hyperventilating sometimes, like trying to get air in. Did you end up having the loss of smell?
Yeah, so I'll explain it from beginning to end.
Okay.
So she says, yeah, I haven't met you, but I've seen all the podcasts. Okay. So when I had first got it, my 3rd day back at work after being laid off because of the pandemic, I had worked with somebody. And don't get me, I was always careful, always had my mask on as most as I could. And then trying to, stay away from people, things like that, didn't get too close to people, whatever. But then the next day after that, the day that I actually caught it, so that was a Wednesday. Thursday, the person I was working with the whole week didn't show up. And I'm like, where did, so-and-so go? And they're like, oh, yeah, like his uncle tested positive for COVID and he just tested positive too. And I'm like, ooh, good thing I'm being careful, and whatever. But then Thursday afternoon, I started coughing a lot more than normal. Well, I never cough unless I'm hitting my vape, but
right.
I started randomly just coughing a lot. And I'm just like, oh, this is not normal, like I was kind of freaking out and stuff like that. And then I came home, stayed away from my parents, and then Friday morning I woke up, body aching all over. I woke up an hour before my alarm, actually, because I was hurting that bad. My whole body was burning up, my chest, my arms, my legs, like just really hot. The AC was on, so obviously there's no reason for me to be that hot. Checked my temperature that morning and I was at 104.7.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So when I didn't want to call my boss super early, but then sorry, my mom says, how do I watch your podcast?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna say I'll send you a link. Anyways, so after that I had called my boss and he was saying like, oh, like did you end up working with so and so? Oh shit. I accidentally clicked the notification for the why won't it pause? Oh, it's live. Let me just mention my mom in the comments really quick. This is funny. Why won't it tag her? Hold on, wait. Why won't it tag my mom? Look at this. This is so ugly. Wait. Let me just share this to her profile.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why it wouldn't tag.
Okay, share, friends. How the hell do I work this? Send in messenger. Okay, there we go. No, so then I had called my boss. He was saying, did you work with so-and-so? And I said, yes. And he was like, oh shit, he tested positive. Like you can't come back to work unless you get tested too. And I was like, well, shit. So I woke up, I stayed up around 7:30 in the morning. I found a testing location in Farmington. And then I went over there, got tested, and then I was like on the phone on and off with the safety lady on the job site the whole day because she was really concerned, and she was really concerned that like apparently there was like a huge outbreak. There was like 8 people that got it or 7 people that got it that same week. Yeah, gonna take extra vitamins now. LOL, giving me germophobia. Yeah, literally. But so yeah, and then Saturday I found out. I got a phone call at 8 in the morning, and Saturday I felt even worse. I had headaches now, like everything, like just cold sweats, like all these different like symptoms hitting me and stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, your test came back positive. And I'm like, fuck. So then I told my mom and dad. My dad started sanitizing everything in the house, you know, and then after that I was just like, fuck, well, what do I do now, you know? And basically just have to, the lady on the phone said just basically treat it like the flu, like you're sick. And I said, okay. And I'm like, you know what, Calford, you haven't been this sick in so long. I don't even remember the last time I was that sick.
Right.
But I'm like, maybe in a week's time it'll pass and I'll be okay. No, you know, the 2 weeks go by from when I caught it and I was still sick as hell. Body aches, fevers, headaches, same old shit. And then at this point in time, I started having shortness of breath. So I would go to my restroom, take a piss, and then I'd come back to my restroom or my bed, and I'm like,
oh no shit.
like I'd be so out of breath, like, and I'm just like, damn, I feel like I just ran a fucking marathon or something, like, and it was so shitty. Like even if I would get up to change my clothes because I would cold sweat in them a lot, I'd lay back in bed like so exhausted. At that point, like, and even being on the phone with my friends or FaceTime or whatever, or with the health department, I would have to catch my breath like every couple sentences, and it was like, not to sound over dramatic, but I was like, fuck, am I gonna die?
No, for real. I mean, I don't know anyone personally that's passed from it, but I've had a handful of people who've gotten it in my, you know, circle.
Yeah.
And it's not a joke. Like, it's, for anyone who's out there who's like, like, it's not really that big, or people are blowing it up, like, until you get it, because I wasn't skeptical, but I hadn't talked to anyone before who had gotten it. Yeah. When I finally did, they're like, dude, it's miserable. Like, I can't even function. I feel like I'm 2 minutes away from dying for most of my day. Yeah, literally. And so, like, and what really made me really angry about this whole situation is that, so the HR for my company that I worked for, she was calling me like right after the 15th day after my, you know, the whole 2 weeks bullshit. She called the day after my 2 weeks, and she was like, oh, she's like, so can you come back to work tomorrow? Like, it's been 2 weeks and this and that. I'm like, homegirl, I still got a fever of 102. Like, what do you mean? Like, can I come back tomorrow? Like, and she was like, okay, you're still sick. I can hear that, whatever. And obviously I'm over here like out of breath and shit. Right. And then she calls me back the next day again, and she's like, can you come back tomorrow? And I said, dude, I'm like, what makes you think I can come back so soon? She goes, Calford, it's been 2 weeks. Like, you should be okay by now. I said, dude, just because this virus quarantine time is 2 weeks minimum, that doesn't mean I have this minimum. Yeah, that doesn't mean that this timer in my body is gonna make me all of a sudden better in fucking 14 days. So then after that, I low key like kind of flipped out on her though that day. Like, I kind of the way I just told you, that was a nicer way. I was like, right, what the fuck, you know what I mean? And so then that next day, a different HR who's based somewhere else for the same company called me, dude, and he was like, hey, like, you know, it's been more than 14 days. And I said, dude, why do you guys keep fucking calling? Like, what you guys so eager for? Like, I'm fucking over here still dying. Like, I don't know. That's what made me really mad. Right. And that's when I kind of started seeing my company differently after that. I'm just like, damn, okay, you guys really have this front. Like, you care so much for your employees and stuff like that. But it's like, they can hear how sick I am on the phone, but I don't know if they're told to do that. I don't know if that's their job. I don't know. You know, there's a lot more to it than I understand, but I'm just like, if I'm sick, I'm fucking sick. You know, like, I can come in and cough on everybody and get everyone else sick again, you know, like. Well, that's the thing that especially early on, like, now that we're getting, 8-9 months into this, there's more information and more understanding, but those early, 3-4 months, there was so much miscommunication, and people, like, the whole 14 days thing had nothing to do with how sick someone could be. That just meant 14 days of, like, okay, he's been gone, so he might not be contagious, but you could still be sick as fuck, and if you're still sick as fuck, you're still contagious. Yeah. So, I mean, it sucks that your company didn't want to see the value in you over the value of, like, the job, 3 work days or whatever else it would have taken.
And what's funnier is I had that same HR lady call me again like a week later, and I was still sick. You know, this was towards the end of my sickness, but I was still sick. And at that point, I was so irritated and so frustrated with her. I had my mom call her because, I mean, that sounds a little like some little bitch shit to do, but I'm like, you know what? Like, my mom will not hold back. My mom will tell her how it is. Obviously, I tried to tell her how it is, but I was like, let me just have my mom talk to her and like whatever. So I sent my mom her phone number. I said, here, call this HR, let her know what's going on, let her know that you guys are up late taking care of me, feeding me whenever I need to be fed, things like that.
Right.
Like, tell her how it is. And so, like, 'cause my parents were going through it because they didn't catch it, but they were taking care of me. You know, they would stay up late, you know, and they'd be like, okay, well, let me know when you fall asleep so we can go to sleep too. You know what I mean? Like, so they were just so exhausted too. As exhausted as I was, because they were always up super late, and my mom would be up late or my dad would be up late, and if I was hungry, they would make me food or whatever, leave it outside my door. And then like finally she had finally let go of the HR, like she'd like let go, okay, and she basically said, can you give me an estimate on when you can be back? And I said, okay. I said, for right now, I'm still sick, let me get better and I will call you. Give me a week and a half max, because I don't know how fucking sick I'm gonna get.
Right.
I don't know if that was just the tip of the iceberg and I was going to get more sick, you know? So she agreed. I ended up taking a whole month off again because of this whole coronavirus bullshit. And then when I came back, before I got coronavirus, my first day back at work, I was so happy to see all these old familiar faces and so like ready to get back into the, you know, the whole grind. But then when I had coronavirus and I was off and I came back, I was like, fuck, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, no, I get you on that.
Yeah, so I was just so like done with my job at that point. But I don't know, I stuck with it from like July all the way until just a week ago. So yeah, that's how it was. But it was funny because I lost my taste and smell, and I was so mad about that because my dad was making like steak, shrimp, like all this good ass food.
Right.
And my dad never cooks like that all the time. I mean, he cooks, you know, every day, but he doesn't cook that good all the time. So I'm over here like eating all this like good ass food, but I can't taste or smell any of it. But then I had the breathing problems for about 4 days, I think, and then I woke up one morning and I was fine. Literally, the storm just passed over, and I was like, "Oh." Well,
have you had anything that's still lingering? Like
no,
that's
no headache,
good.
no fever, no body aches, nothing. I just woke up one morning and everything was like I was like nothing was ever wrong.
Because I've heard like even some people said that, you know, months after getting, like if they were like one of the early people, they still have like either a permanent loss of smell. Some people said they lost some taste.
Yeah, I read that online that you can lose your smell or your taste or both for life.
Yeah.
So when I was reading all about all that stuff, I was so scared. My mom was like, "Mom, I don't want to lose my smell and taste for life. Like, what the fuck?" And you know, she was like, "Oh no," she's like, "You'll have to get it back eventually." And I was like, "I don't know," because I think my third day of having it, after getting tested, that's when I lost my smell and my taste, and then I think actually I lied. Never mind. 4 days after I got better, that's when my taste and my smell started to get like come back.
Right.
What about working out? Is that harder? Is that harder that it was before you got sick? So I don't work out. But I do notice that sometimes, like going upstairs at work at my old job, I could go up 2 flights of stairs and like be okay. You know, I'll be a little out of breath. I'll be kind of like, okay, catch my breath, and then I'm fine. Then I'm okay. But I noticed even going up 1 flight of stairs for some reason, it just like I was like, oh my god, like that was like kind of hard. I don't know how it is now, but I had one of my coworkers who had it when I had it. We were going upstairs together, and he was like, "Fuck, I think that virus fucked me up," and I'm just like, same.
So you said that you got laid off. Is that
in March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that a paid or is like completely off the payroll until they got back going?
Basically what I found out was that because of the pandemic, the entire the whole job site I was on had to minimize their workers. So they had laid off a lot of people. And my company's not the only company there. There's like a lot of other companies who were also laying people off too. So I was one of the unlucky ones. And it was basically like I got fired, but I was laid off. Like I still got unemployment and stuff like that. Right. But it's like when I came back, I had to basically rehire, re-drug test, redo orientation, redo everything. And the superintendent was like, why do you have to redo all this shit? I'm like, I don't know, you tell me. Like,
Right.
he's like, I don't know. He was like, you were furloughed. Like, you should just come back as if nothing was wrong. And I said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. You probably should know more about this than I do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a hassle, was basically starting a new job.
Mm-hmm. So you no longer with the company. Does that have anything to do with
Coronavirus?
Yeah.
No, I actually left the company by choice.
Oh, okay.
Because so the job that I'm at, she says, oh, that sucks. Yeah, it does. The job I'm at is basically coming to an end, as in the construction and everything is almost done.
Right.
And they had kept a certain amount of people on that job site and transferred everybody else to other job sites. Because the company I work for, we have 3 different job sites in all of Utah. Mm-hmm. And one job site is a data center they're building in Sandy or South Salt Lake, somewhere like that. And then another job site's in Eagle Mountain.
Oh, wow.
You know how far Eagle Mountain is.
I mean, for those of you listening who aren't Utah locals, that's what, like a 45-minute drive?
No. When I put the address on my phone for orientation, it said an hour and 25 minutes away.
Jeez.
Because it's not like right at Eagle Mountain. It's like deep in the pussy of Eagle Mountain.
Oh, yeah. So you're talking off the freeway and all the way back.
Yeah, all the way west. Yeah. So
deep in the pussy.
No, okay. So then, like, my superintendent called me. He was like, "Hey, you got transferred, and just now, like, I'll send you the address and whatnot." And I was like, "Okay." Got the address, and I was like, "Ooh," I'm a child. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to drive that far every day there and back." And then I had told my boss, I said, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't want to drive that far for work. I was like, how come they're transferring me? Like, they know I'm a local. They know that I'm here, like, 10 minutes away from where I work. Like, why can't they just keep me? He was like, I don't know. I don't have control over that. And I said, fuck. So then I told the HR, one of the HRs, not the bitch.
Yeah, not the bitch.
Yeah, but the nicer one. He's like some Colombian guy. And he's very nice, very understanding, very respectful. And I just basically told him, like, hey, like, I'm sorry, but this is too much of a drive for me. Like, is there anything you can do to get me to that job site that's closer to where I live? I mean, it's not closer, but it's 20 minutes away. But still, you know, like, it's
not an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, he said, okay. He was like, give me some time. He's like, oh, I will see what's going on. I can see if I can transfer you to that other job site, data center, or whatever. And I said, okay, sounds good. The next day, he had texted me. He said, hey, unfortunately, that job site is all staffed out, and we really need people at the Eagle Mountain job. And I said, of course.
Right.
So then I was kind of like, fuck, what do I do? What do I do? And I will admit, this is wrong on my part, but I just didn't text him back. Cool, because it's already been, like 3 days, 2 days since that time. Like, I'm like, okay, like, they obviously know I'm not showing up, you know? So it's like, whatever. And I kind of just had this fight in my head, this like argument with myself, like, just don't text back, or oh my god, text back, or oh my god, like, what are you gonna say? And then the next day, the third day that I didn't show up at the job, I had one of the HRs call me the bitch. And I was sleeping because at the time I was still hurting from my wisdom teeth. Mm-hmm. So I was always like either jacked up on my pain meds, and they knock me out, you know, so I just fall asleep. She tried calling me sometime at like, I think 11 or something in the morning, but I was sleeping. So then around like later that day, I was just kind of like, hey, like, I tried to call her back. She didn't answer. Okay, whatever. Maybe she's busy. Texted her, hey, sorry, like, my pain meds knocked me out, this and that, like, whatever. Like, explained myself and my end, and she was just kind of like, oh, I had some questions to ask you about a situation that we're investigating right now, but I got everything I needed to know. And I said, oh, okay. I said, what was the situation about? I'm like, I want to know now. Like, whatever. And she was like, it's okay. I have everything you need to know. She goes, it's none of your business anymore. And I said, oh, okay. So if it was none of my business anymore, clearly it was my business if you're going to call me about it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not my business, then don't fucking call me about it.
For real. I mean, that's very unprofessional on her side, too. Like,
yeah. And so at that point, I was just kind of like, I was arguing with her over text like that whole morning, or that whole day. But at this point, it's like the next morning, my 4th day not showing up at that job site. And then I went into my parents' room, and I was so pissed off and just so heated about it. And I was telling them everything about it. And my mom, like, she was not understanding about it. She was like, oh my God, just let it go. Just drop it. But this isn't the first time she's been a bitch to me over the phone, you know? So I'm like, no. I was like, I'm going to let her know what's up. Like, don't talk to me like that. And, like, think it's okay, you know? Because, like, this is a sidetrack from the story, but there's a lot of guys who, oh my God, Nick, I love Nick. So I have a lot of guys who've met her because she's based in Colorado.
Okay.
And the guy HR, the nice one's based here in Salt Lake City. I don't know why her Colorado ass is always calling me about stuff when the guy should be calling me, but whatever. And I've had a lot of guys who are transfers from Denver who have met her in person, and they're just like, all they have to say is, oh yeah, she's so hot. Oh yeah, she's fine as hell. Oh yeah, she's a badass. Like, they just say all these things about her, but which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with someone thinking that someone's hot.
Right.
But I feel like in her head, she has this power that she thinks she has. Oh, like everyone thinks I'm hot. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fucking bitch. Like I can be a bitch. And a lot of guys I've talked to about her, they're always like, yeah, like, yeah, she's hot, but she's a bitch. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of, okay, like, so I'm not obviously the only person she talks to like that.
Right.
But little does she know, I don't like girls, so I'm not going to be submissive towards that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's kind of what she didn't like. I feel like she didn't like that. And so then when she called me back when my parents were in the same room as me, and I was talking to her, asking all these questions, like, what was the investigation about? And she was like, oh, it was about the superintendent and stuff like that. I said, oh, well, I think I know what you're talking about. I have a couple things to say about it. And she basically shut me out, like shut me down, like as I was talking. Calford, it's not a problem anymore. Don't worry about it. And I said, you know what? I said, go fuck yourself. And then I hung up.
God damn. Well, you know what? A long time coming. I'm sure she probably needed to hear it at this point.
Yeah. And so she texted me right after that. And she was like, Calford, that was very disrespectful. That was very uncalled for and unprofessional. And she's like trying to tell me off over text. And I'm just like, yeah, like how does it feel to get hung up on and cut off and, you know? And then like she was like, I'm going to write about this in your permanent company file. I said, you know what? Go ahead. Write about whatever you need to that's going to make your day feel better. I said, but don't forget to mention your shitty behavior as well.
Right.
And then she didn't text back. And then I said, you know what? I said, forget the file. I said, I'm not even working right now. I was like, I should be at work right now, and someone's trying to FaceTime me, but I don't know the phone number. Should I answer it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm scared. Hold on, let me
Send
just...
it.
Hello?
What's up, baby boy?
Oh, shit, I didn't have your number saved, so I kind of freaked out.
I just watched some of your YouTube video.
Oh, really? I'm on a live podcast right now. Just text me about whatever you talk about, okay?
Wait, let me tell you real quick.
What?
While I was watching your video, I liked your confidence and the way you presented yourself. It was inspiring.
Okay.
Oh,
well, thank you very much. It took a lot for me to post, so it's nice.
You.
It's nice to hear that.
I love you. Give me a smidge.
Yeah, this is the first
hey,
of.
Hey, help me out on the podcast. What's up?
Okay, this is Jaren.
My Twitter name, fool.
All right, I'll tell your Twitter name in a sec, but.
Fuck the later one.
As I was saying, it took a lot for me to put. Nick was like, that's staged. No, and he. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, okay? I'll call you when I'm done.
Bye.
Love you, bye. Oh, he commented on the link that I shared 14 minutes ago. Okay. Oh, my mom's watching. She said now she's barely watching.
Oh, awesome.
I was like, she asked for the password to my iPad, and I was just like, okay, here you go. And so I think they're on my Facebook app on my iPad right now.
Yeah.
She better not look through anything, though. Just kidding. I'm innocent.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so then she texted me that, and then I told her that, and then she didn't respond back, and then I called the other HR telling him everything that had happened, and he basically sounded like he was trying to defend her, saying like, well, she's a busy woman, she does this and that. And I said, I don't give a fuck if she's busy. I was like, anyone that treats a human resources shouldn't act that way.
No.
And so then I said, you know what? I was like, matter of fact, I was like, who's your boss? Who's above you guys? Because I want to talk to her now. And so then he gave me her name, her number, her email, called her up, told her everything. And a funny story, the boss of the human resources was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like, I'll have a word with her about it. She was very nice, very understanding, didn't defend her or nothing like that, you know, and she's, yeah, I'll have a word with her about it. And I said, oh, thank God someone in this fucking company can fucking listen. Like, shit, like... But now I'm just living unemployed, and I talked to my aunt who does the same kind of work I do, so she says she's going to try to talk to her boss about, on Tuesday, because it's a holiday weekend, she says she's going to try to talk to her boss about getting me a job, so we'll see what happens with that in the next week.
Right.
And that's my story.
Well, I mean, it's crazy to me to think, because, like, you know, we don't need to say company names or anything like that, but, you know, your company's not just the company, well, your previous company isn't just a small business. They're pretty large, and it's crazy to think that they have someone who is in HR, which HR is supposed to be a person you can go to about problems. That is level-headed, that considers herself a bad bitch. Like, that's not how an HR person should be conducting themselves, because I don't want to talk to someone who feels like they have
power over me. I mean, she does have power over me, but I don't want to feel like she has power over me.
They don't even really have power over you unless they have power to say, like, hey, you can't act that way.
Yeah.
But they don't have they can't just fire you for no reason.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
And I had similar issues with my company's HR. Yeah, why are HR people so bitchy? Like, I'll admit, the guy HR who's based here, he's very nice, but when he started defending her like that, I was like, okay, like, y'all probably have this little square, this little circle y'all got going on. Like, I need to talk to someone out of the circle above you guys.
Right.
Like, which I hate acting like a Karen. I feel like that was very Karen of me.
I don't think that it was Karen of you, because to be completely honest, like, there was no reason for her to disrespect you in the first place.
True.
So, I mean, that's kind of the problem that I foresee. And hindsight's 20/20. Different things could have been said, but at the same time, like, was it worth hiding how you actually felt?
Yeah, and my first time I ever... Hold on, someone said a group of us brought up an issue, then didn't hear anything from them about the resolution. Yeah. 50, who's 50/30?
I don't know. What's up, man?
Oh, what's up? Yo. Yeah, and that's like the shady thing too, is like, I've heard of stories, I'm not going to name names or really get into detail with it because it's not my issue to talk about, but I've heard of other people who told me stuff that they brought up to HR and then, like, never heard anything back about. And I feel like, in my eyes, the way I see my company, well, the company that I was working for, my company, like, it's my company. I've heard of people bringing up stuff about other superintendents who are complete assholes and jerks, and then they never see anything about it. They never see a change in the, superintendent's attitude or nothing like that. So I don't know. Wait, Gifty30, boo, Gifty30, 50/30. I said 50/30, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think. Wait.
She says Gifty30, boo.
50th try. 50th try.
50th try. Oh, I thought it said 50/30.
That's what I thought too.
Okay.
At first.
My boss was getting on me for not cleaning enough lights on. Cleaning with enough lights on. I never said anything about being unclean. It basically just devolved into
him berating.
Berating? What does berating mean?
Like, you suck. You need to do better. Why are you like berating? Like disrespecting you, but like continuously.
I'm thinking like belittle, but
it's close to that.
Yeah. I went to my HR and I said all of what he said to the main HR, and I'll fucking handle this. And he stormed off to my boss's office, and there were words being thrown.
Well, I mean, that's an HR. See, that's the thing with HR is you want someone in HR that will bat for you. That will like stand up for you. Like, you want someone who will be like, "Oh, that happened? Like, what the fuck?" Instead of, we got people who are Marty. Oh, well, thank you for the follow.
Sorry, someone tried to just FaceTime me just now. I hate when I'm doing something and like it's always when I'm busy and then it's like FaceTime call, phone call, and I'm just like, why don't you guys do this when I'm at home doing nothing? Like, it's just, and like, especially when I'm at work too. I always have my phone on do not disturb. The man in HR is like 6'6", 400. Oh,
Jesus, that's a big boy.
I fear him.
I would fear him too.
Is he single though? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thick. No, dude. Someone tall is like my dream, but that's not the point. So what I was saying was that, especially like when I'm at work, I have my phone on do not disturb, and because you know how on iPhones you can set it to do not disturb, but set it to where certain people can call you even if your phone's on do not disturb. Yeah. So I have like my boss, my mom, my dad, my sister, and one of my friends. Mm-hmm. And then I'll look at my phone after like 2 hours of not being on my phone, and then I'll have like all these missed FaceTime calls, and I'm just like, y'all see my Snapchats that I have a fucking job. You guys see that I'm busy throughout the whole day from like early hours of the morning. Like, why are you guys gonna call me now? You know what I mean? Like, and then like when I get off work, I'm just like, okay, no one calls me. I just watch TV in my bed, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
He's a sub.
Oh, never mind then.
6'6", 450 is a sub.
Never mind. No, but yeah, so I don't know. It's just, HR, I didn't know what, like, human resources. I even called my aunt crying because I'm the type of person who gets frustrated, and if I get really fucking frustrated and really mad, I will cry. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, because it's just an emotional response.
Maybe.
It doesn't mean that you're sad. It's just you're so frustrated.
Yeah. So I was crying one morning, or the same morning that all this had gone down. And I was talking to my aunt because my aunt is a very professional, you know, she's a radiologist, you know, she's very, like, she knows about professionalism and work fields and things like that. Not necessarily construction, but an HR is an HR, you know, like with any job. And I was just telling her all of that, and she totally disagreed with everything that the HR had said. She said that she should not have acted that way as an HR. And I'm bringing it to all these people's attentions, and they're all saying the same thing. And I'm just like, okay, well, clearly I'm not in the wrong here if everyone else thinks the same thing. So I didn't feel bad for what I said to her. And I just feel like now that I did that, like, when I first said that to her and I hung up, I kind of had this almost like instant feeling of, oh my god, I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? But then after a while, I was just kind of like, fuck that, like, fuck her.
Right.
Like, so I don't know.
Well, and I mean, I think the weird thing is, right, is it's construction. And I think construction is vastly different compared to a lot of different things. So I almost wonder if HR and construction does get handled differently because of the environment.
Maybe,
you know, because I imagine that if you're an HR in like a construction job, you're dealing with lots of man drama,
angry man,
all the time, you know.
Which that's very understandable, and I can understand the approach on that. But it's like you still have to be professional, and you still have to act a certain way. And it's like, and if me being me with my gay ass, and you know, knowing that she's a woman, I'm very respectful towards her, and I've always been nothing but nice to her. But from the beginning, when my first ever phone call with her, she's always been a bitch.
Well, and I think too, where the disconnect is they need to remember it's case by case. If you start stereotyping like every call, oh, it's gonna be some angry ass man doing angry ass man shit, like you're gonna fail as an HR person in the long run, because it is case by case. Even if every day it's the same thing, like, where's my paycheck? Why isn't my money here? Or whatever it might be. This guy's acting like a dick. Like, whatever. But you have to be case by case, and you have to remember that every single person has their own personality.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, I try to be nice, I try to be respectful, but she just...
Well, I'm willing to bet that she's probably sat and reflected after hearing that.
You know what's so funny, though? So, yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, I was, like, scrolling through, because I never get on Facebook that much, you know? But I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw she had just popped up in my People You May Know section, and I said, ooh, I was like,
this bitch.
And as anyone would do, I went and lurked, you know? And none of her stuff is private, like, it's all very public, so I'm just kind of sitting there, like, I'm all about uplifting others, but if someone's going to treat me disrespectfully, I will return the favor.
Right.
And I was, like, looking at her stuff, and I'm just like, ew, like, this is what all these guys who have met her are talking about. This is what everyone thinks is so hot. And I don't mean that just to be a bitch. I mean that to be a bitch, but also because she's not that cute. Like, and that is very rude to say. I will admit, I do feel bad saying that. But it's like, these men who talk about her so highly, looks-wise, I'm like, boy, I know so many girls who are so much hotter than this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they've never seen anyone hotter than her, or if she's the hottest girl that they've ever seen, but I'm just like, this is like subpar compared to the women that I know, the girls that I'm friends with.
Well, there's a thing that happens, at least that I've noticed, like in guy circles at jobs, because like where I work, it's prominently men. There's like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 women in my whole entire building.
Yeah.
And there's a thing where like after a while, where you're around the same women enough, people become attracted to them. Because there's a couple women who work in the building that I am, and no offense to them, they're great people, but like a lot of men always talk about, man, I wish I could, or I wish they will, like, you know, the guy talk, right? And I'm sitting over there like, y'all must not get out much. Like,
yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't get out much as either. I don't get laid as much either, but it's like, I'm not gonna like lower my standards and talk about someone so highly.
Right.
Yeah, for the coochie. Oh my god, you scared the shit out of
the coochie.
Oh shit. Hey.
Welcome.
Hey. So, hey, skinny white boy, what's up?
just saw you guys were on, so I thought I'd stop by.
Okay.
Promote my OnlyFans.
Someone said, hey, you're in the right. Everyone deserves respect, but you don't have to take that kind of shit from no one. True.
Do you have the OnlyFans now where you're posting only butt pics?
Not yet.
Oh,
that needs to be the thing.
I'll subscribe to that.
It's all pics.
It's all pics.
$3 if you subscribe for 3 months. 34st OnlyFans.
$3 for 3 months. That is. I will go Coinstar all my change for that.
Listen, it's about quantity, not quality.
I'll give you guys a sample real quick.
Oh my god, please don't.
If every day there's just 97 ass pics.
Wait, hold on.
No, Forrest, don't do it.
We'll show you the best one.
But if you want to send it to me after, I'm down. That's you. Forrest!
Oh, Chandler put that as a screensaver. We were sitting next to each other at work, and he's like, hey, look at my screensaver. And I'm like, oh my god, why?
Where did you even get that kind of underwear?
It's a Speedo. I bought it. It was Amazon.
Even my gay ass doesn't know where to get stuff like that.
I just pull that shit up the ass. And then the best is Maria took that picture, so she had to see down Death Alley.
You know what's funny? I went to a rave like 5 years ago or something like that, and this is back when I was all like skinny and like loving myself and shit, you know. But I went in like just like a platinum gold like thong, like, and it was like up my ass the whole night, and like my balls were kind of falling out at one point. Like, it was a big risky move for me, but I'm like, you know what? I did that. So
That's how that Speedo is. It pinches half sack. And like,
yeah, and it's so ugly. And that was the first and last time I ever wore a thong. So I'm like, that's never happening ever again in my life.
You ever went and bought bubble gum and then next time spit it on like hot concrete? That's what it looks like after a while.
Alright, we're going to him.
Bye, it was nice seeing you.
Yep, gotta go make some glizzies.
Glizzies.
Don't get assaulted on your way home.
Some glizzies.
What's that?
Hot dogs. It was like on a TikTok thing, like the glizzies. Like it's just hot dogs. I don't know why they call it.
I don't get on TikTok like that much.
Yeah.
Like I get on TikTok, but I don't get on it to know all the trends and all the little slangs.
Yeah, it was like I don't remember the specific video, but it was like this guy in New York, and he was walked to like a hot dog stand. He's like harassing this dude. He's like, "You got a glizzy but no bev," and he like talking about how he's eating a hot dog with no drink.
Okay.
And then after that, it just like turned into this meme.
Yeah, I get on TikTok if like it's super late at night. There's everything I was watching got boring.
Yeah.
No one's awake to talk to, and I'm just like, I guess we're gonna get on TikTok.
That's what I do too. Like I'll get
Yeah.
on it and just like if I'm like laying in bed and I'm bored, I'm like, what's going on TikTok?
Yeah. See, what's funny is I never would have gotten on TikTok because I don't want to sound like a hater. Like I wasn't like, oh fuck that, like that's so gay. But like for me, it was more like I just never got into it. You know, it's just
Yeah.
And this is before the whole big TikTok craze happened. Because my coworker, who's 38, I think, he's like some old Canadian guy, and he's very smart, you know, as far as like history and math, and like he's like a nerd. I don't know why he's in construction. He has like so many degrees and stuff like that. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing this for? Like, but no, he would be like, oh my god, and like he would like say things to me that even my generation, like my what am I, a millennial, a Gen Z?
When were you born?
96.
You're like right on the cusp.
Okay, yeah. So he'd always be like, yeah, like, oh my god, that was so Gen Z of me to say. And I'm like, what the fuck does Gen Z mean, first of all? And I got TikTok because of Wes.
My bad.
Of course. But no, so then, I'm sorry, I try to acknowledge when I see something.
Yeah.
Because I hate when you're on someone's live or something and you say something they don't. Yeah, so I'm acknowledging you guys' comments. I may look busy, but I'm still reading. No, but so he would always say these kind of things, and like I'd be like, I don't want to say I'm dyslexic, but sometimes I have little dyslexic moments.
I am for sure.
Yeah, and my coworker was telling me to read him something, and I was reading it out loud to him as he was writing it down because I was looking at something. And then he, like a couple minutes later, he went up to double check. I don't know why, because he thinks I'm dumb or something. Obviously, I am, because then he was like, "Calford, it was read like this. You got these two numbers wrong." And I said, "Sorry, like I'm so dyslexic." Like I said that as a joke. And then he goes, "Oh, like Bella Thorne?" And I said, how the fuck do you know what Bella Thorne, like, how the fuck do you know Bella Thorne? He goes, oh, well, there was this TikTok, and that's when I first heard the word TikTok, and I'm like, what the fuck is TikTok?
Hilarious.
This is like last year when TikTok first became a thing. He goes, oh, he's like, you know what TikTok is? Like, it's so fun. Like, I spend hours on there every day after work. And I'm just like, you're like almost 40 and you spend your time on TikTok outside of work. Like, all right. So I downloaded it, you know? And so then like I downloaded, made an account. I think I looked at a few videos and then I didn't open the app for like 5 months. And then this year, like, everyone's like so crazy over TikTok and shit, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then, but still, for some reason, I just can't get into it that well. You know? What I mean?
I think for me, it's definitely a time killer, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
As someone who's trying to create content, it's great because I've posted a lot of like clips from the podcast, and then I got cats that like to do funny shit, and like, so I have like 30,000, 40,000 likes and like 1,000.
I thought you were gonna say followers. I was like, ooh.
No, I wish we're getting there. But as a content creator, it's nice because it's much easier to get exposed. Well, I guess exposed isn't the right word. It's easier to get exposure on TikTok compared to something like YouTube. Yeah. Because TikTok algorithm is much more kind to
YouTube than YouTube, you know? Because I know how YouTube algorithm works. Like,
it's very hard to get hit. I saw this thing yesterday that within a day's time, there's 80 million hours of content uploaded to YouTube.
In a day?
In a day. 80 million hours.
Is there even 80 million hours in a lifetime?
No, not even close. Like,
damn, so you really got to get noticed to get noticed, because if you don't get noticed, then you're wasting all that fucking time.
I mean, let's see. How many hours is in 80 years?
Oh my god, I'm not ready for this.
700,000.
700,000.
There's
80 million hours of content uploaded to YouTube every day. Holy shit.
So, like, that's the one problem, is that's why a lot of people have flocked to TikTok and call it the TikTok craze, is because you could be like someone like, what's her name? Charlie D something or the other. She's 16 or 17 years old. She's a cute girl and she dances. Okay. Well, she has like, I don't know now, but she was at like 40 million followers, and she was on Fallon and all the late shows. And, you know, speculation about how much money they make is always up in the air, but...
My mom said she can barely hear us. Is there a reason for that?
I'll double check to make sure that the sound sounds good on our end.
They're watching on my iPad, and my iPad's relatively new, so I don't know. Let me tell her to turn it up. Turn up the iPad, mother.
They're on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Oh, she's typing before I even said anything. Okay. It was probably set to low because when I was editing my video earlier, I had the volume on low to see how it would sound if... Yeah. Oh, she's typing before I... Okay, so it's fine. Okay. Yeah. She says it is turned up. Huh. Maybe something's wrong. I don't know.
I can bump it up a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're old, so... My mom and dad are very old, so...
I'll bump up the mic just a tad bit.
Someone said sounds fine for me, she said. Okay, there we go.
Forgot where I was. Oh, so
she's a cute girl, dances.
Yeah, she dances, like, you know, people will roast her for being just some dancing girl, whatever. But there was a rumor that and this is just that she makes probably like 30,000-40,000 on TikTok because of the exposure that she gets. And I know that they said that she did a meet and greet where tickets were like $50 to get in to the meet and greet. And then she did like some VIP package where it was like a couple thousand, and she would do a TikTok with you or something like that. And she sold like close to $1 million's worth. They're saying that she's probably going to be the youngest person to hit like 10 million or 10 million revenue.
My mom said, shut the fuck up about us being old. But no, that's so crazy because like there's so many TikTokers out there, and it's like, because you know how when Vine was a thing, like what, 7 years ago? Yeah. And it was so crazy how all these like Logan Paul and like all these like who are now YouTubers got famous off of Vine, and it's like, damn, I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Because like, I don't want to talk shit or hate on anyone, but they're not that interesting of people. In reality, like some of them are kind of shitty people, and it's like, I mean, I can be a shitty person if I have to, but for the most part, like I said, like I feel like I'm pretty interesting. So it's like, why hasn't someone like me get famous?
Well, so I doing this podcast now. It'll be 3 years this winter season.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I'm still out here grinding with small numbers. But I look at it this way, right? Is I can't predict what will happen in the future.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can control is the content that I'm putting out. So if I continue to put myself out there in the world, who knows what may happen. But if I decide like, oh, well, shit, there's so many people doing it, it's so flooded, the market's flooded, like, is it really worth my time? And I stop, I feel like the only thing that I'll have for the rest of my life is regret.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, well, what if I kept going? Because like, what if this is the episode that gets millions of views for some reason,
and
because
then puts us both on the fucking charts.
Yeah, it puts us on the charts, and then what?
And that's
we didn't do it, and I quit like a month ago or something, and
then what if the
happened.
next episode you did got you on?
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it too. Is like, that's like one of my biggest regrets. Like, I don't have a lot of regrets in life. I have some regrets, but not a lot.
Yeah.
One of my biggest regret is never pursuing YouTube a long time ago.
Same.
Because if I would have kept doing it since high school, I feel like, who knows, maybe I would have been someone right now. Maybe I would be an influencer right now. Maybe I'd have all the money in the world to me right now. You know what I mean? But who knows? And that's kind of why I posted that YouTube video, because I feel like for me in my life and the way I am and how I put myself out there, I'm so interesting,
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, one, I do know that for a fact, and two, there are... Do you regret the hiccup video? No,
Hell no.
That was actually
That's
really
gold.
that was funny.
That's gold.
I think when I first had seen it and stuff, when I first watched it back, I was kind of like, ew, I'm so drunk and ugly and gross. But I don't regret it at all. Not at all.
Vape.
It got them views. So.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at myself, and I'm not mad for them. But no, so there's a makeup page on Facebook that I'm on that my cousin actually, my dad's brother's daughter. She kind of created it herself and was adding her friends, some of her family, things like that. But now it has 3,000 or 4,000 members in it, and I don't. It was great. But I don't do crazy makeup looks. I don't do eyeshadow. I don't do any of that crazy crazy shit.
Right.
I just do simple. I wear foundation. If I want to be extra over the top, I'll put on some concealer. I'll contour my face. I'll do all that highlighting shit. But for the most part, I just go on there. I go live. I talk about myself, my life, my experiences. I get a little drunk, and I'll do my eyebrows, things like that. And people are so interested in me. There was at one point I had, I think, almost 100 viewers while I was live, and the comments were just flooding in. I had to stop and answer questions and read comments.
Right.
And it felt so nice being like that, and everyone was telling me my last live I went on, and I was like, oh yeah, my dad's brother's daughter equals your cousin. Yeah, but I wanted to specify it could be my mom's sister's daughter or my mom's brother's daughter, so whatever, you get it. So yeah, and I'm always just being myself, really, whether I'm drunk or sober, and
right.
I had talked about YouTube. This is what kind of pushed me to make that YouTube video that I made, but everyone was yeah, you're so funny and you're so this and you're so that, you should just do I would watch them. And then I told you about the views I had in 1 hour, and I'm like, oh, okay. I've never in my YouTube channel history have had that many views.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well, that's a small milestone for me, and I was kind of really excited, oh my god, you know what I mean, kind of how you felt about the video, the hiccup video.
Oh yeah,
you guys had.
When I saw it hit 1,000, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy.
Yeah, and so then I posted it on my Instagram, my Snapchat, my Facebook, and I was sending it to friends individually, links and stuff, and the views were going up. I was seeing comments, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we're off to a good start. You know what I mean?
Well, and what I said earlier, I think maybe before we started, as far as people, I think you're more known than even you give yourself credit for, because I know people who have been oh yeah, I found the podcast through Calford, and I'm like, oh, how do you know? I'm like, I just follow him on social media.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, cool. And they're like, oh yeah, he seems nice. He seems funny. A lot of people know who you are, which I'm sure there's negative sides to that too, because sometimes it gets annoying. I've even noticed that people are always up in your business. which can get bothersome. But at the same time, like, it's about falling in love with the craft, and it's about doing it for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I've noticed with this is like early on, I really think that I was doing this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I was looking at this like, oh, I could be the next Joe Rogan and make $100 million from a Spotify deal.
Yeah.
But then I started realizing like, well, I make good money doing other stuff. I could just quit this and live a fulfilled life, like not worrying about trying to get famous.
Yeah.
But it makes me happy.
Yeah, and that's how I feel too. Like, don't get me wrong, like when I have a job and when I'm employed, like I don't mind what I do. I genuinely love my job.
Right.
And I love construction way more than customer service.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
For sure.
But, and then I also, like, this morning, like, I told you I had an epiphany this morning, and during that time I was like, fuck, like, I could be so much more happier. Not that I'm saying I'm unhappy in construction, but I could be so much more happier doing what I truly love as a content creator and as an influencer. I hate that word. I hate influencer and internet celebrity. I don't know why.
They put like this negative twist on it now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really the case.
And I really hate, like, I always think about it, and like, let's say I was YouTube famous, I would hate it if someone said like, oh, one of your fans said this, or if my friends were like, oh my god, you have so many fans, because I wouldn't see people that way. For me, I would see them as either internet friends or viewers.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I look at this too, because like there's so many people who have come into Twitch that are now people I either talk to or have on social media. It's like they're friends.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a tipping point, right? Like if you get to like
let's say 18
Paul,
million subscribers, then they kind of do become fans.
You can't have that single interaction with that many people.
Yeah. And that's how it is, like, for me, like in that makeup page I talked about, like there's a handful of women that I talk to who are either my same age or in their 40s who I talk to every single day. I have on Snapchat, I have on Instagram, I have their personal phone numbers, and they call me and we talk and this and that, and like we share each other's like tea with each other, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't want to see them as fans just yet, because I feel like that's kind of degrading to them, they're just like another person like me. But it's like, but that tipping point you said, like if I did reach so many millions of subscribers, my tipping point is 5. LOL, I can only handle 5 friends max. Oh, I wish I was like that, because I have so many friends. But yeah, and I
think too, like the term fan, if I was following somebody and like I enjoyed their content, but I was in like a communication with them and they just called me a fan, like, that's kind of fucked up. Yeah. I think fan can only come from the viewer. So like I can say I'm a fan of Tim the Tatman, who's a big streamer on Twitch.
Or I'm a fan of Beyonce.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And then if you address yourself as a fan, then they can address you as a fan. But I feel like it's weird if the person that is the entertainer is like, oh, my fans, and it's not like this grand Beyonce like scale.
Yeah.
I'd just be kind of like, I help pay your rent, like
I subscribe to you on Patreon, like I helped pay your shit, motherfucker, But my mom brought something up that 3 minutes ago. So she says, for the white men, relations are different about the whole cousin thing. It's hard to explain, but in my culture, it's saying cousin and stuff like that is a lot different. Like when we have different words in Navajo for like my mom's grandparent or my mom's parents and my dad's parents.
Oh, okay.
So we have different words, and I don't want to try to explain that before, but that's why I said my dad's brother's daughter.
Gotcha. So I would just say my grandparents, but you have
or you could
separate
just
names.
yeah, and or you could just say your cousin. I don't know. It's just something in my head that I'm always like, oh yeah, like my mom's sister's this or my mom's sister's that or whatever. But I don't know. That's just I wanted to address that so she doesn't think that I'm like ignoring her. She's like messaging me on Facebook as she's watching, so that's why. But yeah. Anyways, next subject. I don't know, what is the next subject.
Well, I mean, I think that because I've got to know you through doing the podcast, right? And we've had silly talks and personal talks, and we have Patreon episodes that never went up because the talk was too serious, it's not worth putting out there just because sometimes it's good just to talk to people.
Yeah, and plus, like, you don't want someone's business being dug up years later and things like that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean any disrespect. I just thought it was funny how many steps took. Oh, yeah, no, I understand what you mean, but Yeah, I get to what you meant. I didn't feel any disrespect at all. My mom just addressed it, so I just decided to explain it. But, anyways,
I think that, in all honesty, and I think that you have a lot more potential than you think too, with being, I don't want to say an influencer, but someone who is entertaining. Because like, I'll give you a perspective that you might not know. I watched the video of you dyeing your own hair white.
Oh,
I remember that was an old ass video.
I made that private not too long ago. But yeah.
I watched that whole video. I'm like, I don't know anything about hair, but like, that's kind of fucking fun to watch for some reason. Because I was like,
because it was all time lapse.
Yeah, and I was like, how the hell is he doing this? 'Cause I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, I would fuck this up so fast. Like, that patches of brown and white everywhere.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I really do think that if it's something that you fell in love with and you told your story, because like, I've never thought that you weren't genuine either when you come on the podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, being your genuine self and showing people that, like, you don't find that a lot on any platforms anymore, because it's always a facade. Like, if you watch, who's that? My girlfriend's gonna give me shit because I know that she likes him. Makeup guy, super famous.
There's a lot of makeup guys that are super famous.
He's now dating like an ex-basketball player.
Jeffree Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect what he's done. You know, whatever his past is his past. But I don't know if that's genuinely him or a character.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's hard to tell.
Have you seen this Shane Dawson series that he made about Jeffree Star?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've known Jeffree Star since the MySpace days. Like, and
that extra edgy days.
Yeah, like I remember like following him on MySpace like way back when I lived in Arizona in a trailer, when I don't want to say that we were necessarily poor, but we had enough to get by, you know. But I remember being in those days and with my dial-up internet connection, you know, and like going through MySpace and like being exposed to all of these, I don't want to say crazy, but different kind of people.
Yeah.
And I remember like seeing all of that and like the picture of him throwing up Cheerios on the fucking kitchen floor, like all of that. I just thought, like, at the time I was like, oh, like that's fucking weird, you know. But now that I look back and I'm like, damn, like that's really what kind of got him put on top. You know, like people loved that for some reason, and people loved that edgy type of shit.
Yeah.
And look at him now. He's a fucking billionaire who's fucking living in fucking Hidden Hills, California in a fucking $14 million mansion.
Oh, I saw his mansion video. His fucking dogs have a bigger bedroom than my house.
Literally.
Like, you know,
his whole living room is the size of my apartment.
Yeah. So it's like, Calford is one of the most genuine guests.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't want to eat my own ass, but yeah, I feel like I'm very genuine. Like, I mean, I have a lot of coworkers and some bosses on Facebook, and I just shared your link about the podcast. So God knows who's watching right now. Welcome if you're someone I work with that's watching. But Lord only knows who's watching now. I can't comment because they're not on Twitch. But it's kind of weird because at work I'm such a different person. I'm so quiet. I keep to myself. I always she says I downloaded Twitch and now we're watching on the big screen. Oh, they're watching on the TV now.
Nice.
My mom said that. Hi, Mom. Anyways, no, so yeah, it's funny because a lot. Oh my God, that one snuck out. A lot of times, a lot of people who first meet me at work, I'm not saying that I'm like so gay that I walk around the job site at a construction job and I'm like, you know, walking around with a pride flag sticking out of my ass. Like, I'm not that kind of gay, you know. I'm very laid back and I'm very chill and I'm very not extra at work, you know what I mean? And so it's funny that like whenever I get to know coworkers who start working with me directly face to face and they start to get to know me, and it's always coworkers I feel like didn't like me, you know, or they kind of like give me a weird vibe or their energy's off when they first kind of meet me here and there. And then like they end up becoming my best friend, you know, and they always end up becoming like, there was this guy, I'm not going to give his name out. Now burps replace hiccups, literally. But no, so there's this guy named Jane. Jane. His name was Jane, y'all.
Yeah.
He doesn't have Facebook. He doesn't fucking know. But no, so yeah, he not necessarily he was rude to me, but he just gave me this vibe that he didn't like me because of how I was acting towards my other coworkers who I'm comfortable with, you know?
Right.
And so after I think like about a month of us working together on the same crew,
we're over here joking with each other. We're over here having dark humor with each other. We're over here, he calls me on the weekends. Hey, what you doing tonight? Like, come to my house. We're having a game night. This is before the pandemic.
Right.
But yeah, like, and, now we phone call each other every once in a while. We always talk and catch up. He's not working here anymore. He's working in Florida for a whole different company.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and, like, it's nice to... It sucks that they have to get to know me to be friends with me, unlike straight heterosexual men who everyone just gets along, when it comes to straight men.
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed, and how would I put this? So I think that there's a disconnect for a lot of straight men where they hear stuff about, LGBTQ or like other gay men where it's like this immediate facade of like, whoa, I don't want to fuck a man. So I've never understood why why it goes so fast to like a sexual thing when it gets talked about. Because like the reality is like, people are people.
Yeah.
Like, and it sucks that people have to give you extra time because they're either not comfortable, I guess, or they're not like they don't understand. But like, I don't know.
I know what you mean. What you mean. It's like that's what I say. Like, it sucks that they have to get to know me first, and then they're comfortable with treating me like a normal human being. You know what I mean? And it's like,
it's sad that there has to be a grace period.
Yeah.
Because I've never, at least from my perspective, I've never quite understood that. Because like, I've had people in my life, my whole life, so like, who have either been in LGBTQ one way or the other. So like, I've never understood the perspective of like, oh, I'm uncomfortable around this person because they
like men. You know what I mean?
Because it's almost like an arrogant thing. We're like, oh, well, if he likes men, he must like me.
Exactly. That's the thing I fucking hate, dude. Every time that someone finds out that I'm gay at work, and like I said, the whole energy and the whole vibe is off because they know that I'm gay. It's like, okay, there's this meme. I'll dig it up later, but it's like, it says, straight guys be like, I don't care that you're gay, just don't hit on me. And it shows some ugly motherfucker from some Tim Burton movie.
Right.
And it says like, but they be looking like this.
Right.
So, but it's so true, because then there's like some ugly ass guys that I meet on jobs, and like they're just like they have that same energy. Like, I don't care if you're gay, but don't hit me. And it's like, bro, like. And I remember telling this one guy who was being weird about. So there was this one situation where we were all taking break. This was like last year in February or something. And this guy, he was like, hey, he's like, my wife just got these peanut butter balls from Costco. Like, who wants some? And everyone's like, oh yeah, like I'll try them. And then like I kind of just like was like, okay, because he gave me homophobic vibes, And then like, he was like, hey Calford, like you want some? And I said, I'm gonna try something out. Let me try something, and if he reacts badly, this might end badly, but let me see what he says. And I said, I kind of was like, oh, I guess. Like, I rolled my eyes, and I'm like, sure. And then he was like, just try them out. And then he was like, dude, they're just peanut butter balls. Like, they're not gonna kill you. And I was like, okay, fine. And then, like, jokingly, well, not jokingly, but jokingly to them, I was like, well, it wouldn't be the first time I've had balls in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, and I said that because all my other coworkers besides him, because he had just moved to our crew,
right,
they all know I'm gay and stuff like that. So everyone started laughing. And then him with his southern ass, he was like, man, why you gotta be so gay? And I'm just like, and then everyone just kind of looked at each other like,
yeah,
oh shit. Like he kind of figured out that he knew that everyone knew I was gay, and he knew that everyone else was kind of looking at him like, oh, like, why did you say that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so then I kind of was just like, hey, you know what? I said, y'all talk about titties and shit and eating pussy. Like, how come I can't talk about that kind of stuff? And then, he did immediately was like, you know what? He was like, you're right. You know what? He was like, I'm not going to lie. He was like, that was a little funny. He's like, I'm going to give it that one. That was funny.
Yeah.
He said, but that did throw me off a little bit, which is understandable.
Right.
And fast forward later that year, I went to a wedding of my coworkers with my parents, and I ended up hanging out with him in his truck while it was raining and everyone was sitting in their vehicles because it was all outdoors, And, we kind of had a heart-to-heart, and then just say that's how I roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, y'all roll like this, I'll roll like that. And so then after that,
New subscribers.
Hey.
Two new
let's
subscribers.
go.
Okay. But yeah, so I ended up having a heart-to-heart with him, not really knowing him that well, and then we just talked about a bunch of stuff, and now we talk every day. It's crazy, and it sucks, and it's nice, but it still sucks that there has to be that, like you said, that grace period of like someone getting to know me before they can get close with me.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think too, I don't know, at least from my perspectives and my encounters, is I've never understood the whole straight man guard that has to be put up. Like, you're on a job site, you think that like someone, I just don't personally understand the mentality. I've never understood the whole, well, he's different.
Yeah.
Like, are you? Like, you're another guy.
I'm another human being making a living the way you're doing it. Like, why the fuck do you got to make a big deal out of that shit? You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Like, we're trying to work here. We're trying to be professionals. But it goes back to another case-by-case thing. Like, I imagine that gentleman who made that comment, he's probably never either interacted with someone who is, and all he has is all this information about how, they're going to try and fuck me.
Or they go to pride festivals every year and this and that. Like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a gay guy going to pride festivals every year. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong about being prideful of being gay. But what I'm saying is that I hate that. And I'm not saying it's a stereotype. They put me in that stereotype. And yes, I am gay. Yes, I have been to a pride festival. But I'm not, and I hate saying this because it's going to sound so fucked up and so rude and so close-minded. But I'm not that typical, annoying, feminine, like, I can get with any guy that I want to kind of gay guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who I am. And I don't associate with gay guys like that. Not in a rude way, just because I have had many friends like that in the past. But our friendships ended very badly because of fake personalities,
It's not the energy you want to be around.
Yeah, And it's a good... I almost said it's good energy to be around. It's good for them, Good for them. They're all loving each other's companies. Like, those kind of gay guys, like, everything's okay. Do what you gotta do. Be who you are. It's not... I'm stuttering a lot. I'm sorry, but...
No, I get what you're saying. And
Yeah.
I think, too, like, kind of going back to with, like, what we're talking about YouTube influencers is, like, there's a point in line where, like, I've wondered if people are trying to fit a stereotype to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Instead of just being their genuine self.
Oh, another new subscriber. I'm sorry.
You're blowing up.
What
if that's the video?
What if that's a video that puts me on top? But anyways, as you were saying, there are people that fit stereotypes to be comfortable. But
yeah, and I think there's never a problem with that. But the problem lies with the people who aren't in that demographic, whether it be gay or, whatever other category you want to talk about. Like, if you're not involved in that situation, you can't go in pretending that everyone is the same person. And I think that's kind of what his problem was. He thought like, every gay person is going to be the same.
Yeah.
You're going to be this or that or this
Which
or that.
there's not. I've met lesbians who are, I don't know if this word is offensive. I don't know if I'm allowed to use this word, but there's lesbians who are very dykey, very butchy, And I have nothing against any of that because a lot of the lesbians that I've met, they're so cool. They're so funny. I've never met a lesbian that I hated, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's how it is for a lot of people, even straight men, like there's a lot of lesbians that straight men love. But I've also heard this one situation that my dad actually told me about. He was telling me about this lesbian girl that he knows that used to work with him. And, she's not necessarily a dyke. You can tell she's a girl. She's very feminine, but when guys on the job that he was telling me about found out she was lesbian, then they started treating her like shit and like treating her like another guy, things like that.
Yeah.
It's so annoying that it's like, I'm not saying just because it's 2020 that you have to accept everybody, because there are people that, you don't get along with, there are people that you don't like, but it's like, fuck, it's like, it's so crazy how, like, for me, 10 years ago, I would have never told my parents that I was gay. And my mentality 10 years ago, I would have never came out.
Yeah.
That was my mentality. But then I ended up coming out to them 3 years ago in 2017, Thanksgiving Eve, actually. And honestly, as shitty as that night was and as shitty as that time was at the time, I'm so thankful that happened, because now I can be myself for my parents, and they can watch things like this about me, and you know, I can be, they accept me. And it's like, if my strict cultural traditional parents can accept me, why is it so hard for these redneck ass middle-aged construction guys to accept that? You know what I mean? Like,
well, right. And we're in 2020 now, where like I agree with you with the first part, right? Like, it doesn't mean like everyone needs to have this immediate, you know, reaction, but
that'd be nice, but you know,
we have to stop making excuses for people who are still hateful.
Yeah.
Because like the old adage, like, oh, they're old, they don't understand, or they're not with the times, or it was a different time when they were younger. All that says to me is that they aren't mature enough to learn and to change their perspective.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't care if someone's 10 years old or 80 years old. If you're unwilling to change your perspective, or at least try and change your perspective, that makes you a shit person.
Yeah. And that's why I have hope, because my mom just said, "I love you, Shiaji." Oh, thank you. Shiaji means like either my baby or my thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So, you know, obviously someone like her and someone like my father, who are very old school and stuff like that, if they can come around to finally accepting it. And what I mean by finally accepting it is literally the day after I came out, they were just like, "We love you." You know, like, we realize you're our only son, and we realize that we can't change that about you, and it's your life and it's not our life. And, you know, they just told me they love me. And it was so emotional, because that was Thanksgiving Day, and we were like eating, you know, and things like that. Like me, my sister, my mom, and dad, and you know, they both gave me a hug and kissed me on the cheek, and I don't know, it was so crazy, like how emotional and crazy it was the night before when it came out to them, and then like how much they switched and did a 180, and like, "Oh, we love you," and I'm just like, oh my god, like I literally had like everything planned. I was like, okay, to my friend I was like, "Hey, you get an extra room? Yeah, I'll come stay with you." Like I was like low-key gonna pack all my shit and just be like, "Okay, bye guys, like you don't want to love me, like bye," you know. But then like they did that, and that's when my friend, I was like, "Listen, homegirl, it's cool, like, they're not mad."
Great,
yeah. I don't know, but I feel like it's nice, because like a lot of my aunts and uncles and cousins now know and stuff like that too, and it's like, in my eyes, everyone kind of already knew, but at the same time, they didn't really know. You know what I mean?
Right.
They kind of knew, but they didn't know for sure, and so that's why it's like, it's not like I was some straight dude who is like low key gay. It was more like, yes, everyone knew my whole life, but it's like they didn't know for sure. But it's like, now that they know for sure and they still love me, it's like, okay, well, you know what? Like, we're chilling, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Like,
well, it's, I think especially knowing you, like, I really think that you could break a lot of people's discomforts.
yeah.
You know, and even you're saying about the guy who...
So that's native life. But yeah.
You know, the guy that you talked about who, you know, made the comment or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think that you are so genuinely you, and you're so personable, and you're so able to just have a conversation with someone that you could break down anyone who thinks they have this hateful look. And, you know, maybe that's what the world needs. Maybe they need someone like you on YouTube.
Maybe, for sure.
Because, like, it's... For me, I grew up in a situation where, like, my parents weren't ever anti-anything.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah,
you know?
that's very great.
Like, they have their opinions about stuff. Like, you know, my dad, he's all like, "Oh, I don't want to see men making out on TV or whatever."
Yeah.
I'm like, I get that. Like, just change the channel. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, but they've always been like, "Oh, we don't understand why people don't have equal rights." Like, so, like, for me growing up in that environment, I've never understood, like, hating someone because of how they live their life. So it's so baffling for me to hear, like, because I have people now who I've talked to, they're like, "Oh, I can't stand insert whatever it might be," and I'm like, why?
You can't stand it? Like, do you lose sleep over it at night?
Yeah.
Like, does it bother you that fucking bad? Like,
yeah. I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Whoa, this, and this." I'm like, are you fucking idiotic?
Like, look around. Like it's, if everyone else around them is accepting, and if the world's changing like this, then obviously they can't get over their own insecurities and their own problems about it. And it's just...
I'll give a story that was positive in the end. So
I gotta pee.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll be like 1 minute.
No, you're good. Take your time.
Hold that thought though.
I'll talk to chat.
Okay.
hello, chat. It's me. Thank you guys for hanging out, though, and thank you, Calford's mom and dad, for coming and watching and supporting the show and supporting him. He's great. I love having him on, and I think that I hope that he sticks with this YouTube thing, because I really think that whether he makes it in the world of YouTube and turns it into a career is one thing, but I think that it will be good for him, and I think people would love seeing him and listening to his stories, and I think he would be able to help a lot of people, which is, especially in today's day and age when 2020 is so crazy, a lot of people are scared, a lot of people are afraid, a lot of people are in the worst situations they've ever been in their life, and to have someone that they can go watch even for an hour a night doing some live stream or a YouTube video they make can really change people's days. And it's nice too that he shared the story, that you guys were accept him for who he is, because family's important, and it's awesome to hear stories like that, because typically you hear a lot of negative stories where it's the family's like, nope, throws their own kid out on the street. And I can't understand that, because I don't personally have any kids of myself, from my own personal kids. I couldn't imagine, just like, because they're different than I am, being like, no, you can't live here. Like, there's so many sad stories out there of that happening, and it breaks my heart. So it's nice to hear a good one.
Okay, I'm back. Back to your story, your positive ending story.
So I don't talk to them anymore, and this isn't the reason why, but I'll leave their name out just for personal reasons. But he had a lot of very negative outlooks on trans people.
Yeah.
And, I can understand how it is probably confusing for people, and they don't understand the mindset or the lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, right, is like, that person's just trying to live the happiest they could be. And if that is transitioning to a different sex or doing whatever they want, like, it's not me saying anything on that opinion doesn't matter, because I just want to see people happy. And my old peer was very negative.
Okay.
Very hateful, didn't understand it, was very disrespectful. And I talked to him, like, why? Why do you think those things? And he's like, well, why would they want to transition from a woman to a man, but then they're still going to be in love with men? Because they were talking about someone specific.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, well, it just doesn't make sense. Like, they're already a woman. Why wouldn't they just love a man? Like, they already want men. He's already a woman. I'm like, I don't understand why you care. Like,
yeah.
Why do you care?
You're like, I don't understand it either, but why is this such a big problem for them? You know what I mean? Like,
and I told him, like, what if tomorrow I was like, you know what? I think I'd be more comfortable as a woman, but I'm still going to be with women.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's different. I'm like, why is that different?
Why
is it different? And he's like, well, I know you. And I'm like, oh, so that's the fucking thing, is you just are uncomfortable because you don't know that person?
Yeah.
Go fucking say hi. Like, I think that's like the biggest problem, is people are so, they have all these weird thoughts and feelings, and they're so afraid to approach people who are different.
Yeah.
Just go say hi.
Just
learn
be
someone's
nice.
name.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm Wes. Nice to meet you.
You don't have to understand it. Like, they don't have to understand it. Just be nice. You know what I mean?
I don't have to understand a fucking thing about how someone lives their life, but me judging them or hating them because
and not
of it
knowing them personally
doesn't make any sense. If that person ends up being a shitty person, well, guess what? I guess they're shitty.
Yeah.
But you can't judge someone because of things that the decisions they're making to try and find their happiness, and just say, oh, they must be shitty.
Yeah.
That's
wait, your girlfriend said just because you don't understand something doesn't make it bad or wrong. I think I saw where people are flawed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And my thing with the whole trans thing is, like, so I have a trans uncle who I don't know if I should call him my uncle or my aunt, but and like growing up, I've always loved. I'm gonna just say her because he looks like a her, acts like a her. Yeah. I've always loved her my whole life, but I know that my parents and her haven't gotten along in the last 4 or 5 years, things like that. And recently they have rekindled their relationship together, awesome. And they both admitted their wrongs to each other, and they both talk again. And I think that's I never saw that day coming, to be honest. You know, when she had called me saying, hey, I'm at your house hanging out with your parents, and I was just like, what?
Whoa.
Like, my house? Because I was at my sister's house dyeing her hair for her. And I'm like, you're at my house? Like, do I need to call the cops? Like, what happened? Did y'all fight each other? But no, and then, like, I actually went and hung out with her, I think last weekend or 2 weekends ago, but she told me, like, everything that happened that night, everything they talked about, and how everyone cried and stuff like that, and it's nice to know that finally they're over their whole beef situation.
Right.
I personally never had beef with anyone, because if it's not my beef, if it's not my personal issue, then I'm just still gonna love everyone.
Yeah, of course.
I'll listen to what they have to say, both what they have to say, but I'm not gonna hate anyone or pick sides, because that's not who I am.
Right.
Did someone comment? Treat people the way you want to be treated. My mom said that. Oh yeah,
It's
basically.
very true.
Yeah. And that goes back to the HR thing too. It's like, I treated her the way I want to be treated, with respect, and I was nice, you know, but she obviously had no intentions like that
Right.
back towards me. And I might sound like a hypocrite because I was over here like, yeah, like, you know, if you don't know someone's life or you don't know them personally, be nice to them. But it's like, yeah, I don't know her personally, but it's like, she was a bitch to me, so I'm gonna be a bitch back, you know?
Well, yeah, no, if she would have handled herself better and treated you with the just even like common decency,
Yeah.
it would have never gotten to that point.
And if they would have just said, hey, if that's too far for you to drive, your only option is either like quit or do it. And I'd be like, okay, well, if that's my only option, then I'll quit,
Yeah.
you know? But they just basically kind of had to like terminate me because of that, in a way. I mean, yes, I did quit in a way, but it's like, they couldn't be more clear about it.
Right.
And I feel like as a human resources, they should be more understanding and more open about that. And yes, the guy HR tried to transfer me and stuff like that, but he couldn't do it, you know, and he told me that they were all sapped up. But I don't know. I don't want to get back into that story again. But yeah, the whole
Right.
trans thing. I have a story about trans people. About my aunt. I told you about that, whatever. But there was a trans person I went to high school with. I'm not going to say his name because I'm pretty sure you know him, because you've said his name to me before and you know who he is. But so 4 years ago, I feel like 4 years ago was like my kind of like my top of the game moment, you know, like I was getting it, I was debt free, I was, you know, like living my best life, I was buying all this expensive ass like Fenty stuff, you know what I mean, like I was doing so much 4 years ago. I was in shape a lot better than I am now, and you know, this person who is trans, and I'm not saying because they're trans that this is why they acted, but I feel like anyone would be jealous. But, you know, I was always hearing from different people that he was talking shit on me. You know, like I'd have a friend who ran into him at the gas station and like he would just bring me up. And
Right.
and mind you, at that time, I haven't talked to this person in like a year. So he was just kind of seeing me on social media and seeing me on Snapchat and seeing what I was posting and stuff. And it made me mad because he was over here talking about, oh yeah, like he's working in construction now, like he's making all this money, he's buying this, buying that, he thinks he's the fucking shit. But in reality, it's like, as much as I don't want to eat my own ass, yeah, I was the shit. And I feel like right now I still am this shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm driving a nice car, you know, like I'm like living my best life still, and it's like I can buy any bottle of liquor that I want and not give a shit about the price. But it's like I ended up calling him out about it. Because he, in my eyes, he had no room to talk because he had Louis Vuitton purses. At the time, I didn't wear makeup, but he was wearing all this expensive makeup that he would tell me how expensive things were. And I'm just like, okay, you know, so like, in my eyes, I was like, okay, we both live in our best lives. We both grinding. We both doing what we want to do, you know? But the thing with him is his grandparents were buying a lot of the things that he had.
Right.
And I think he was just kind of like not angry or not mad, but he like me paying for all of my own things didn't sit right with him. So I kind of just called him out about it. And, you know, of course, from the shit I've heard he was talking about me to my friends would never lie to me, you know, or at least the friends who told me about this, they would never lie to me. And someone's trying to FaceTime me. I'm just going to let it ring. But no, so it's like I called him out about it on a, because I tried calling him, he declined it, and I'm like, okay, you can't talk right now, that's totally understandable. So I sent him a long, detailed text message about what I was hearing and how I felt about what he heard or what I heard, and he had totally responded back, playing it off as like, oh, well, I didn't mean it like that, this and that. And I said, I don't know, like the way these people told me what you said, how you said it, like it sounded kind of like rude, you know. And then, like, after a long argument, he ended up telling me, like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, you do this, you post like this, you post what you buy and this and that. And I said, hey, there's nothing wrong with working hard for what I have and showing people who want to see it what I bought. It's like, and then I told him, I said, you have no room to talk. I said, you have Louis Vuitton handbags, you have Christian Louboutin high heels, you have all this expensive ass, like, I don't know the brands, but all this and this and this, like these makeup brands on your vanity. Like, why are you so mad about what I have if you have equally the same amount of stuff? You know what I mean? Like in your bedroom. And it basically didn't end well, and so we just kind of, my friendship with him ended at that point 4 years ago, and it's sad because I see it as more of a jealousy kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, because like we've talked about this situation before, and it's very strange because obviously I only know a little bit of the whole story and your guys' friendship, but it does really seem like he almost felt like he deserved more, like he should be getting something else, or you know, whatever it might be. And like it just sucks because I mean we need to be at the point now where we're hyping people up instead of trying to, like, if someone has more than you, why would you look at it as a negative thing? Why not use that as like motivation back? Oh shit, he's doing well, maybe I need to kick my ass in gear. Like, why would you sit there and complain like, oh well, fuck him, he's got this and that? Like, why? Like, if you're that mad jealous, go out and fucking grind.
Go
and get
fucking
it.
work for it. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's how I see like a lot of the YouTubers. You know, I don't like a lot of the YouTubers that are very big and famous and, you know, living their best lives right now. But, and I'm talking the beauty community wise, because you know, I wear makeup, I watch makeup videos, but just because I don't like YouTubers doesn't mean that I want them to fail. You know,
no,
like,
definitely
if they're
not.
getting their money, if they're doing this and that, like, dude, do it. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing better than I am, and that's what motivates me to do what I do, you know?
Right.
A lot of people don't like Jeffree Star right now because of the whole situation, but it's like, that's what motivated me to make YouTube videos, because I don't hate Jeffree Star, but I'm not going to be someone to talk good of him because of everything going on in the last year. But it's like, let's say for some reason he fell off and he, you know, was canceled, as they like to say, cancel culture. You know, I feel like there's a lot of YouTubers who have fell off in the last year, and it's like, there needs to be new people to rise to the top, you know? Not necessarily take their spot, but it's like, there needs to be newer people to uprise. You know, like when Shane Dawson became really big 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I feel like we're in that era right now on YouTube where there needs to be new people to rise to the top, you know?
Well, and I hope that whoever the new people are that do rise to the top, they make it less toxic. Because the beauty community on YouTube, at least that top 10%, very toxic.
Oh, yeah.
Very toxic. And, like, I don't know if, you know, I don't talk to these people. You know, I don't know how their interactions are. But, you know, I hope that they remember that a large portion of their audience are younger and showing that much toxic
like
behavior.
Preteens,
is not healthy, because, like, you don't want more toxic people to come about. We want to eliminate the toxicity. So I hope that whoever that next
another subscriber,
dude, it's happening.
I know. I'm like, I keep like, I see doing notification, and I'm just like, oh my god, another sub. Like,
remember us small people when you're on top.
Leslie, my Cass actually told me that. She was like, remember when you're famous? And I said, you know what, like, for me personally, growing up here in this, I mean, this isn't a small town, but Utah's pretty small, you know? I don't think I'll ever forget anybody, because I'll remember everyone, whether I send you a text or respond back to your phone call, you know, as long as you have my personal phone number, I will always remember you.
Right.
You know? Because the street goes both ways. So let's say, hypothetically, I become YouTube famous, and let's say I say, okay, so I get a new phone number, and then I text all my friends who I want to remember, and I say, this is my new phone number. Sorry, I talk too fast sometimes.
I gotcha.
No, so let's say, like, hypothetically, I text my friends and I say, here's my phone number. Like, don't text my old number back because I'm not going to have it anymore. And then whoever texts me back on my new phone number, that's who I'll remember, you know?
Right.
It's like that. Like, the street goes both ways. And so it's like,
I think it's smart, too, to have that. Like, because I always tell people that, too. Because, like, you know, people are very nice. They're like, yeah, when you blow up, remember I was here. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'll never forget the people who were here day one grinding it out. with
Yeah.
me, you know, like, and that's one thing that I've noticed, and that's one thing that makes me really excited about the future is because and I don't want this to come off as cockiness or arrogance, but I know I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I know I will because I will outlast everyone.
Yeah.
Whether I outsmart them or outwork them or whatever it might be, we'll come to see. But I will outlast.
Yeah. And that's what I told you with my epiphany I had this morning about making videos and what got me to edit my video and post it. I feel like, you know what, like I'm at that point where I'm like, you know what, let me just fucking do it. Let me be consistent with it. I have a lot of views and a lot of subscribers that are now coming in, and it's like,
well, it's the Jeffree Star thing you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
He's been doing this for 15 plus years.
oh yeah.
And only in the past, what, maybe 3 has he been who he is?
Yeah.
Like a household name, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, you don't watch much Twitch, right?
No.
Do you know who Dr. Disrespect is?
No.
He's this really big, he's like 6'8", tall guy, pretty handsome, and he has a character. Like, he's always played this character named Dr. Disrespect. He has like a black mustache, like long black hair, like,
Yeah.
and he's always like kind of like aggressive, funny, and he's probably one of the biggest people. He's no longer on Twitch. That's a whole drama thing that I don't know much about.
He was canceled, is what you're saying.
I don't know, kind of.
In some context like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's not on Twitch anymore, but he's on YouTube, and he's already like one of the biggest YouTube streamers in the world.
Wow. Okay.
And I always look at him as like the outlast thing because he has been doing the Dr. Disrespect character since like 2006,
Yeah.
like a long time. And I don't know if he's ever done like a documentary or a personal story, but I wonder how many times he's thought about like maybe this gimmick isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And then in the past, like,
and now
he's huge.
it's worked.
Yeah, I mean, just on Twitch last year, he made like something like 12 or 13 million.
Holy shit.
You know, so like,
It's so funny to hear that. Wait, hold on. She says, just like how the government should be get to the top, then listen to how people
let new people replace you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and when you say that, I actually watched a video this morning right after my epiphany of this TikToker who was actually homeless. He was living out of his car and stuff like that, and he had gotten over 1.4 million followers overnight.
Jeez.
And now his whole life has changed. He's not homeless anymore, you know.
That's awesome.
And basically what his whole shindig is that he makes angry reactions, but with his angry reactions, he says positive, uplifting things. So he'll make video responses to TikToks, and he'll like, there was this one that I saw that was a girl icing a cake that she was making. She's like, okay, yeah, like I know like you guys don't like some cakes that I make and this, and like here I'm like doing this cake, whatever. And she talks about her day, like, oh yeah, like I took my dog on a walk, or I filled my car with gas, and she just, you know, just being honest about herself and her life. And he says it in such an angry tone, but he says the most positive things in such an angry tone.
I like that.
Yeah, it was very refreshing to watch that, because I've
Right.
actually seen his TikTok, and I actually do follow him before I saw this video, but it was so nice to see, like, he'll be like, that's good for you.
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, oh my god, like, or like he'll just things like
Be
that.
aggressive,
you know?
nice.
Aggressive, but nice and
Yeah.
positive. And it was so uplifting to see someone be angry, but uplifting at the same time, and that was so different. And I feel like, and apparently like he had lost his house because of some situation with the landlord and things like that, and now he's getting brand deals and sponsorships and things, like, because he has like 2-point-something million followers on TikTok, and I'm just like, oh my god. But overnight, 1.4 million followers overnight.
That's crazy.
And that's kind of how I feel about myself. That's another thing that boosted me to just get off my ass. Well, not get off my ass because I was laying in bed, but I was editing this video, and I was like, you know what? Let's just edit this fucking video, do this fucking voiceover, and just fucking just get it out there, because all the people who have told me, like, yeah, you're so interesting, you're so this, you're so that, just make videos. And I'm just like, you know what? It's maybe it's time, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll have my big break, and maybe I'll have, you know, some sort of recognition on YouTube at one point. But
I mean, even if you get to like, you know, maybe this video is it, or maybe it's a different video, but even if you get to like 10,000 subs, like you could make good money.
Oh no, there's people with 300,000 subs that make such good money.
Yeah.
And they live so lavish. They're driving Lamborghinis and shit. And I'm just like, okay, well, if these people with 300,000 subs
compared to Jeffree Star and James Charles and Shane Dawson, who have like 10, 20 million subs, like I could only imagine what I could make with even just 10,000 subs. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and it's all the different facets, because that's one thing that a lot of people forget is like, you know, you could look at like a popular Twitch streamer and be like, oh yeah, they make, you know, this much from their subs, which, you know, if you have, let's say you have 1,000 subs, you're probably making about $3,000 a month.
yeah.
But then, like, what's on the back end? How much are they making from their YouTube? How much are they making from merch, T-shirts, you know, makeup? How much are they making from, you know, brand deals? Or, hey, I'm using this Logitech keyboard.
Yeah,
you know,
and
because
like I heard from Jeffree Star in the documentary with Shane Dawson, he disclosed that he was like, because Shane Dawson did like a free unsponsored giveaway for a makeup palette that had just come out at the time, and Jeffree Star was like, oh yeah, like if Anastasia reached out to you, you could have made 200,000 off that just posting it and saying go buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy fuck, $200,000 just for making a post on social media, like. That's so much fucking money.
you really start to see, like, how weird money is at those higher levels. Because, like, some of these companies, like, I remember, and don't quote me on this because I can't remember all of it, but I think it was one of the Paul brothers got a deal with Microsoft for the Surface Pro or something like that. And they paid him, it was like $100,000 for 8 seconds in a video.
$100,000,
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
We could stop talking for 8 seconds and no one would even think it's awkward.
Exactly.
You know, so like.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like, and I hear things like that, and I'm just like, okay, I don't even make $200,000 in a year.
Right.
You know, I make maybe 60, 70,000 max in a year with
Right.
the amount of work I do for how much money I make. But it's like, and that's good. That's
Yeah.
a good thing. But it's like, in my eyes, the way I see it is that the reason why I want to make YouTube videos so bad and I want to become this and become that, whatever, I feel like it's just it turned off on the big screen. You're talking about Jeffree Star? My mom just said that. Why did it turn off? Anyways, so for me, my biggest concern is not really about me. It's about my parents. And I mean that in a way of like, my parents have always supported me throughout life, you know, growing up and things like that. Not recently, but you know what I mean? Like, financially, when I was growing up, they always supported me.
Yeah.
Through even when they were struggling, you know, they always made sure that we had a roof over our heads, we had dinner on the table, and we had clothes that were to school.
Right.
But it's like, for me now, I'm just like, damn, like now I want to take care of my parents now that they're getting older. And
Same.
It's more like, I'm waiting for that big break. You know, I'm waiting for making money through YouTube and doing this and that. And like, even 200,000 could fix so many problems in my life right now.
Right.
You know, like,
I haven't talked about this on any podcast yet, so hopefully this isn't the obscure podcast that my dad's listening to right now, because I guess this will give it away. But my first thing that if I ever get, or excuse me, when I get a brand deal or, you know, get enough Twitch subscribers to have the money to do this is like, I want to pay off their house.
yeah.
Like, that's all I want to do with my life. Like, you know, if everything goes well, like, I would love to be able to look my dad and be like, hey, I know
what,
all
boy?
these years you were fucking
Struggling,
you know, here's the check. You know, and I don't even
Yeah.
care what he says or what he does. Like, I just want to be able to do that. And like,
if he wants to be humble and say, no, we'll do it. You're like, no, take this.
yeah, like, I'll fucking shove it in your mouth. Like,
yeah.
you know.
And that's how I feel about my parents too. Is like, I mean, I don't like saying this on live, but my parents are in a lot of debt right now. And I would for sure, the moment I start making money through whatever the fuck I do in life, when I become successful, I want to pay off their debt first, because I know it took them a lot to become that much in debt. It took them a lot to support us their whole lives. So I would take care of their debt first,
Yeah.
and then mine. You know,
Right.
let's say I get a brand deal. You know, let's say I pay off their debt, and then all of a sudden I fall off and I get canceled or something. At least their debt's paid off, and then you know what I mean.
Well, right.
And I don't know. There's just so many things in my head that I always think about successfully. You know, not
Right.
really in an anxiety way, but it's more success. Like, oh my god, like
this morning, you know, I was just like, oh my god, if I became a YouTuber, I could pay off their debt, I could pay my debt, make up my sister's debt, you know, like I could pay off all of our debt, and we would all be living good. Alyssa, the girl who said juicy.
Oh yeah,
That's her.
Long time no see.
She says, "Hoi." We always say this. We say "Hoi" like every time we answer for like FaceTime and stuff. But yeah, that's her.
It's 9:00 on a Friday. We getting juiced or what?
Yeah, literally. But yeah, and that's exactly how I feel about my parents too. Is that I would pay off their debt first. The moment I started making money through anything, whether I become successful through either making more money through construction or making more money through anything, I would pay off their debts first because they were the ones who struggled longest,
Right.
more than me. And let's say I pay off their debts and then like, yes, queen, let's get juicy. But yeah, I always have daydreams about that now,
Same.
and I'm just like, oh my god,
It's
like,
good motivation too.
It's
you
good
know?
motivation, and that's why I posted that video I posted. And it's like, hopefully one day we both are successful. You know, we just both like
It'd be cool to link up in like 5 years and we're like
both successful.
sitting here in like some fucking fancy ass studio wearing fancy ass clothes, and we're just like
We have like our own office and our own building, and we're just like, hey guys, what's up? You know what I
just
mean?
both look at
It's
each other.
like,
We both paid our parents' debt off. Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck yeah. You know, it'd be cool because like and I think too, like as we get older, like that isn't that hard of a reality to really think about. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, of course
It's not impossible,
Yeah.
you know?
because I mean, if you really think about it, we know all these household names, but who were they before they started trying? Who
Yeah.
was Shane Dawson? Who was Jeffree Star? Who was
They both
Logan
came from
Paul?
nothing.
Yeah,
dude.
they got where they are because of hard work, consistency, timing.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping us from working hard, being consistent, and having good timing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a luck game now for sure, right? Like it's the luck game of, oh well, the algorithm hit tonight, and then this person saw it who is an influencer and retweeted it or something like.
Yeah.
But you never know.
You just never know.
You never know that day when someone hops in and is like,
And
oh my god, this
that
is
was
great.
hard for me to understand because always in the past before today I was always like, damn, like I was always just like, you know what, no one's ever gonna see this, no one's ever gonna comment my shit, no one's ever gonna fucking subscribe. But then I really thought about it and I was like, you know what, who the fuck cares? Like if maybe the right person will see it and they'll retweet it, maybe the right person will see it and subscribe, maybe the right person will see it and they'll want to collab, you know what I mean? It's like you just never know with this industry and with this kind of content and like this kind of work. It's very hit or miss, you know?
Well, right, and then there's that opposite side too of like, there's a lot of people who are in the industry that we don't see the face, right?
Yeah.
Like how many people work under a Jeffree Star? Hundreds, I'm sure.
Oh, he
Yeah,
said
thousands.
hundreds of employees are under him.
So like, what if like one of those employees who isn't making videos, but he works his dream job, and he's like, this Calford guy, he might have what we want,
yeah.
you know, or like maybe he'll be the next big name we can push, and then he reaches out because there's like that's the thing is there's so many people who also just see the dollar signs
Yeah.
and they want to make dollars so they could go to you and be like, hey, we will give you dollars, we're gonna get dollars, we'll all get famous,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm lucky in a sense that like I'm not in this for the money because I've never been a what's the word, like I don't want a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, like if I had a lot of money, of course I would drive, you know, my dream car, and then, you know, I would dress better or different, but I've
Yeah.
never been one that's like, you know, I need a Bugatti and a Lambo and all this type of stuff, and I don't need a $15 million mansion. So like financially I'm more lucky because like if I was making $100,000 a year, I'd be happy.
Yeah, literally.
But
My my dad just said.
oh, you're okay.
So my dad said, tell him how nobody fucks with dad at construction. So my dad is someone like me who is very unfiltered, who doesn't really take shit from anybody.
Right.
My dad has been fired from jobs before for just speaking his mind about things, which is, yes, it's bad because you lose your job because of it, but in a way it's good because people need to hear it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of people telling me how to live and how to work. And Salty Frank. Oh, I remember Salty
Ayo.
Frank. Ayo. Like Rico from Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
Ayo.
Ayo.
But no, like I'm tired of people, like that's like one thing too is like if I ever became YouTube famous and made money off of it, I would be so glad not to ever deal with anybody telling me how to act, how to work, how to basically be your own boss, you know?
Yeah.
And back to the whole thing, my parents, supporting my parents and stuff like that. But I don't know. That's just like one thing that really sucks. Heyo. Is that like an emoji or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Salty's Twitch emoji.
Okay. But yeah, back to what you were saying though before I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I think I kind of forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh.
Well, I mean, to go with your dad speaking his mind and stuff, it sucks because that's like almost a lost art in 2020. Like so many people are afraid to step up and tell people what they need to hear.
Yeah.
And like it can be done in a respectful manner, but still a strong like. Hey,
coming off as strong. Yeah.
Yeah, like it just sucks that people still take things personal too. Because that's something I've noticed. Because in my workplace, it's not construction, but it might as well be in a sense. Because like it's similar environments, and man, people are still pretty sensitive.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like everything we talked about, the homophobic guys and these heterosexual men acting the way they do towards me, and like taking all the time to get to know me, and that's like you have HR and things like that, and it's like. People are so fucking sensitive to accept the truth, I mean, I'm a victim of that. Not a victim, but I'm someone who is guilty of not accepting the truth. I've had people who've told me straight to my face what I'm doing wrong and what's my issue. Yes, at the time it was wrong, or not wrong. It was discouraging to hear that being said to my face, but then it took a few days or a few weeks to be like, damn. That person was right.
Yeah.
You were right to say that. You were right to say this and that. You were right to come to me like that. Even at the time, I thought it was wrong. But, it's like, I feel like everyone should just understand that, and like whether they want to be right as much as they want to be right. I feel like people, especially in the construction industry, you will meet a lot of hard-headed motherfuckers who want to be right and who want to be the person above you and take dominance in a way. And for my father, I don't think it's for me to him, it's like, yes, speak your mind, speak your this, but it's like sometimes it's like you have to be employed, you have to do this and that. But for me, on my end, now I know why he did what he had to do in the past to speak his mind, whatever. Makes like more that. Sense. And to have people not fuck with him like that in the construction industry anymore. And it's like, now I get it. It took me 2 years to understand that. But with how the HR treated me through my last company, I'm like, okay, Father, now I get what you mean when you've lost your jobs in the past. And I get what you mean when you've had to speak your mind to people. But, yeah.
It sucks that it gets to that point sometimes, that you have to really speak your mind in a situation where it does leave your job in jeopardy, but I think that it shows a lot of character to still speak your mind, because like at the end of the day, right, we only have one life. I'd rather be genuine to myself and my values than to submit to someone else's who's trying to step on me.
Yeah.
Because like I don't like that.
If the HR was respectful, and as much as the HR for my company could say, okay, well, this job is all staffed out, you have the job now and have a way. If they were just respectful and understood me and listened to me the way an HR should, I'd say, you know what? If that's my only option, yeah, I quit. I don't want to quit. Like the company I worked for, they have bettered my life in so many ways, mentally and, financially. But it's like, if that's my only option, then I'm sorry, then I had to leave, And I just feel like a lot of companies don't know that, they're just all about
the bottom dollar.
Yeah. And so, which is really shitty for my company. I'm not trying to hold this against them for the rest of my life, but so NPR. Yeah. So that the news company, they were actually on my job sites I think it was either last September or October. I don't remember necessarily when it was, or it might have been December, one of those months, but they came to me, and we had the whole company. It was just for my company, not the entire job site, but just my company specifically. And oh my god, that one snuck out. Watch this be like the burp podcast.
The burp podcast.
It gets like 10 million views. No, so so NPR came to my job site about my company because my company promotes mental health and things like that and well-being and stuff like that. And when I found out what it was really about like suicide and, you know, suicide prevention, mental health, things like that. And I actually pulled my superintendent aside one morning before they showed up, and I said, hey, I was like, so I want to say a few things, and when they're here, I said, is that okay with you? And he said, no. He was, it's okay. Like, yeah, like, we're going to ask whoever who wants to say something to, like, you know, like, let them share their stories. Like, that's really good. Like, you know, say what you need to say. And I said, okay. So he had actually pulled me aside, I think, 10 minutes before they showed up. So I left my work area 10 minutes before they showed up, you know, whatever. And, like, he was just like, okay. He was like, so this is going to happen. Like, and where we were all meeting up, there was nobody there. I think there was, like, 5 people there. And he was like, yeah, like, you know, sure, be open, be honest, like, just be yourself, you know. So he knew I wanted to say something. And then NPR, like, the news people were there, like, with their big, what are they called? Fluffy microphones?
Oh, boom mic.
Boom mics, yeah. So they had their boom mics and things like that, like their big-ass cameras, you know. And so, like, as he's talking about my superintendent was talking about his side of mental health and how he's dealt with depression and stuff like that. And then he was like, he told me this beforehand. He was like, I'm going to ask who wants to come to the force to say something. He was like, when I see that, he said, you tell me, hey, I want to say something. So he had gotten done talking about that, what he was talking about. And then he was like, okay. He was like, so does anyone want to come to the floor to say something about mental health and stuff like that? And then everyone kind of looked at each other like deer in headlights, you know. And I said, I want to say something. So then I like walked. Where is the other guy?
Oh, you dropped by a little bit earlier.
Oh, yeah, he was here about, what, an hour ago?
Yeah, he said hi.
Yeah, he said hi, but he left.
He typically works right now, so he can't do the podcast on the weekends normally.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Poor thing. I actually really like him. He's like, not that I'm saying you're not funny, but he's really funny.
Oh, I know.
No, so yeah, like, so I had said, like, yeah, I want to say something, and oh my God. When I tell you, seeing everybody that I work with, bosses, coworkers I've never talked to before, everyone's eyes on me was so, like, not intimidating, but it was so nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my God, sorry, someone texted me. Oh, it's an old friend. Anyways, so, I basically went over, like, because really the segment was over suicide prevention and mental health. And, you know, I had just said, like, oh, okay, you know, like, I was suicidal about a year ago, whatever, because this was last year, so 2018. Yeah, 2018 was the last time I ever, like, tried to commit suicide. And I talked about all of that and what had happened and waking up in the ER and because I thought I'd die, but I didn't because they, you know, brought me back to life. And, sorry, I don't want to cry, but, like, it's just, like, I talked about all of that stuff to them, and it's, like, I opened up so much to so many people that didn't really know me for me, you know what I mean? And it's, like, I don't know, I just opened about all that, and I opened up about, like, I even brought up being gay in construction. I just said, yeah, like, I was like, being gay in construction really takes a toll on me sometimes because I feel like I'm not accepted here and I feel like I'm not wanted here. And, you know, I brought up all that and I just told them, I was like, you just have to be open about your feelings, to be honest. You know, if you need to find someone to talk to, I said, there's always someone to talk to, you know. And I just said, find someone to talk to because talking to someone always makes you feel better. You have to admit that, right?
Absolutely.
And I basically said that out loud in front of my entire company. And then after that, like, I just said, yeah. I said, so now I'm still here to this day. And I was like, the last year of my life has been one of the happiest lives that I've ever lived as an adult. And I'm very happy that I'm here and I'm alive. And everyone started clapping. Everybody was clapping. It was so weird. To like, it was because there's other superintendents who've made little speeches and stuff, and everyone's kind of just like,
yeah,
You know, like
You rocked the whole room.
yeah, like
Yeah.
and like everyone was so interested in it, and like everyone was just so into it, and like hearing a fat applause from everybody who works with me was so like in a way life changing. You know, I was like, oh my
Right.
god, like everyone really listened, everyone's so proud. I had gotten several Facebook messages, Snapchat messages. The one that really hit me hard was so my boss's wife at the time, she was working with us, and she had told me over Snapchat text that she was like, your story broke my heart. I was tearing up the whole time. She was like, your boss was tearing up the whole time, and this and that. And I was like, damn, like these people really listened, you know what I mean? Like they really cared about me and this and that. And after that, the whole day I had different guys who I thought didn't like me, and they were just kind of like, hey, like I respected your story. They shook my hand or they gave me a hug or whatever, and they were just like, yeah, like, you know, that was very like heart opening to me and this and that. And I was just kind of like, damn, you know. And at that point, like after that day, you know, and even my boss at the time, he was very like, he was a hard-headed guy who was very like macho and this and that, and he gave me a hug, you know. And that's very funny because I've never ever like, he's like the kind of guy that you would never see give anyone a hug.
Right.
And he gave me a fat hug, and he says, I didn't know that about you. Like, I'm so sorry if I've ever been rude to you. Which I wasn't looking for anyone to be apologetic or,
No.
you know, like, that wasn't the issue or the plan. But it's like, to see someone who's very hard-headed the way my boss was at the time, he says, I'm so sorry if I ever seem disrespectful towards you and this and that. And I said, no. I was like, you're never disrespectful. It's like, I understand the way construction bosses can be. And that after that last year changed my entire life at work. And that's when I genuinely love my job, because after that, so many people, so many guys I thought didn't like me were like, they'd say hi to me, you know, and they'd, you know, sometimes they'd even be like, oh, like, I'll pay for your breakfast, you know. And I'm just kind of like, oh my god, like, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, no, it's fine, like, don't pay for my fucking breakfast. And they'd like, no, like, let me pay for it. And I'm just like, and we'd have like little arguments, the little food truck that comes to work, and I'm just kind of like, okay, like, whatever you offer, like, don't get mad, you know. But ever since then, it's like, I've even had like the safety lady, like I've had other HRs for the company who've come to me about things like that, and they're like, oh my god, we heard your speech, we heard this, we heard that. And it's like, that, like, that's so nice, that's so beautiful, and this and that. And you know, even the safety lady of the company, she like emailed me like where to find the link and stuff like that. And I don't know, it was, job wise, it was very uplifting, you know. And seeing all the comments on that specific segment, it was like, oh my god, this got so many positive reviews. And it got posted to NPR's Twitter and NPR's Facebook. And
that's awesome.
All of the comments and responses, I did not see one disrespectful comment or anything. And I was like, oh my god, like, people love me. I don't know.
I think it's cool that you did that, because I mean, and I respect it, because as a man, you know, it's still so taboo to talk about our mental health, because we have to be the strong
and independent.
Yeah, when in reality, like, a lot of men, like,
they go through it.
You go through it, you know, and like, I've had times of my own, you know, thoughts and situations, and like, what helped me is exactly what you said. It's finding someone that you can
trust
talk to
and can talk about, you
because
know?
like, you know, when you air out your
dirty laundry
and your mental state, like, you're not necessarily even looking for a response from someone. You're just like, this person's listening. Like,
yeah,
am I that fucked up in my head, or is it just like, do I need to tell someone? And they'll be like, no, like, it's fine.
Yeah,
you know. And I've been trying to push mental health quite a bit here on the podcast, just because of how great it is to like be a man and be comfortable talking about your emotions, because like, there's still that mindset of like, emotions need to be hidden, makes you weak, it makes you a baby, or the old school way, it makes you gay, which I'm sure is just, I don't know, that one's always bothered me. But
yeah,
you know, it's not manly to cry, or it's not manly to say that you're fucked up right now. Like,
yeah,
it's quite the opposite. It actually makes you less manly to be able to talk about your mental state.
Literally, yeah.
Right?
It's like, one of those days, the phrase "just guys being dudes" is gonna be two homies crying on each other's shoulders, and that'll be a good day. Literally, like,
well, and as much as memes are memes, memes have really actually changed a lot about masculinity, because like there's always memes of like, oh, me and the homies on a Friday night, what's expected? It's like partying, and then it's like the reality, and we're all crying, talking about our emotions,
Yeah.
like, because it's gotten to the point now where our generation has realized like, you know, we're all kind of get fucked up a lot of the time, like,
Yeah.
it's life is harder than it seems.
Yeah, dude, it really is. Like, and I feel like when I gave that little speech, like a lot of people, it changed a lot of people's perspectives about things, and like that would be a great day. Yeah, it would. But yeah, and I feel like a lot of people ever since then, like, I don't want to say I became a therapist, but a lot of guys would come to me who I'd never talked to before, and they would talk about, oh, like problems with a girlfriend, and like obviously they know I was fucking gay at that point, so they're like, oh, like, so I mean, not a lot, but like there was like 2 or 3 guys who came to me saying like, okay, well, you know, you're gay, like you understand girls a lot more than I do, like what does this mean? And I would give them the best advice that I would give them, you know. And then like I date back to times when I would work on the road with my dad, you know, because before this job I was always like going to different states, working with my father in like North Dakota, Wyoming, the most like redneck states, you know.
Right.
And it makes me think like back then, like, damn, like these, like, I hate saying this, I hate saying the word redneck, because yes, they are rednecks, you know, and like, but it's like so many redneck guys I've worked with in other states like that, where the whole yeehaw situation is like really big. They've been so fucking rude to me, you know, and it's like, and yes, it's like they don't know I'm gay, or maybe they do, who knows, but it's like, I've worked with welders and things like that who I've helped, and they were just so fucking rude. I remember telling my dad stories when we were working in Wyoming, how like rude one of the welders I was working with. I was like, oh my god, fucking so and so was so fucking rude to me today. He fucking this and that. And my foreman actually in Wyoming, when I was working with my dad, because me and my dad got separated, because me and my dad, I kind of go with him on jobs as like his helper,
Yeah.
you know, because my dad's the welder and I'm the fitter, and we kind of like, I kind of do his prep work and then he does the welding. But on this specific job in Wyoming, we got separated. So he was given a different helper and I was given a different welder. And this welder was based in Wyoming. He was born and raised, you know what I'm saying, child, like. But he was always so rude to me in every lunch break because me and my father would just sit in my car for lunch and like eat our sandwiches or whatever the fuck we were eating for lunch, and I would tell my dad everything. And like, I don't want to say that my dad didn't care, because I know my dad cares, because I know my dad cares about me genuinely, but my dad would kind of give me the sort of like insight of like, just brush it off, you know, which is true. Yeah, like, this is a job, we're all making a living, just brush it off, you know, like you can't change anyone's opinions. But there was one day I had fucking freaked out. So my boss, my father and I, we had the same foreman, boss, whatever you want to call it, and he had a wife. I'm not gonna say her name, but she loved me, you know, she knew I was gay, things like that. Like, we kind of connected with each other in that way, and she would always work with me sometimes. And there was this one day she was telling me, she's like, yeah, she's like, I'm a badass, like, I don't give a fuck. She's like, I fucking hate when Dave tells other guys to fucking help me, like I can do things with my fucking self. And she was carrying a wooden pallet by herself, and the welder that I was working with, he was like, why are you just watching her work like that? Go fucking help her. And then I said, dude, I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, you go help her if you're that worried about it. But that's me knowing that she wants to work the way she works, you know? And I would not have said that back to him, not knowing her, because I'm always down to help women, you know? I'm always down to, you know, if I see a girl on a construction site, I will always help her. But that's also miscommunication, you know? Like, he didn't know that. He didn't know I was gay. But, you know, and I didn't disclose that to him, that she wanted to work the way we worked. You know, she wanted to be a powerful woman, you know? And so I basically argued with him for about 10 minutes. And then I was just like, you know what? I was like, it's lunchtime. Fuck you. Like, I'm gonna go take lunch in my car. And then the whole time in my car, I vented to my dad. I was like, oh my God, like, so-and-so said this and that to me about so-and-so. And, like, she wanted to do this and do that and, like, doesn't want help from any men. And, like, which is weird because, like, him, my welder, and my boss, me and my dad's boss, they were very close friends, I guess. So it's like, if they're very close friends, that's funny that he didn't understand that she wanted to work like a man, you know? And that's what I love. Like, what I really love is powerful women, you know?
Sure.
Powerful women who will work as hard as a man will. And I will embrace that, you know? But if they're not like that, I will be more than willing to help a woman do her job in construction. And basically, I just kind of fought with him the rest of the day, and then a day or two later, we just drug up. We quit, and we were just like, fuck this place, you know? Like, because my dad was not liking who he was working with either. So we just basically just were like, okay, fuck this job, bye guys. And then, but I was applied for college at the time, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to college soon, so whatever, fuck it. And then college was a flop. So then I went for, like, I don't know, less than a semester, and then I was just like, okay, well, fuck college.
Yeah, college is, that's a whole different topic for hours we could talk about. But yeah, to go back to what I said early on about we can't keep letting, you know, just because of if someone was raised in a redneck area or someone was raised in an area where they're less culturally accepting of, you know, whether it be LGBTQ or
Mexicans or black people.
We can't continue to let that be a slip and be like, oh yeah, well they're just raised in a different area.
It's like, no, like,
that's bullshit. That's being fucking lazy about us trying to help them realize their flaws.
Yeah,
because that's what it is. It's a flaw.
It is.
And if they refuse to see that they have a flaw in their thinking, then they have deeper problems.
Yeah,
you know.
Now that you say that, I'm gonna make this quick because I don't know if we have to end soon. But
yeah, I probably have like 10 minutes.
Okay, so let me make this quick. So there was a guy that I used to work with at where my old job was. So he posted a status about a year ago, I think. After, like, it was way after me and him had, like, gotten to know each other, you know. And I don't know if me and him getting to know each other will, like, cause him to post this, but it was way months after. So I think he was just, you know, kind of fed up with a bunch of stuff. But he basically told me, he was like, yeah, he was like, I was raised like this. I was raised to think this was wrong. I was raised to think this was right. And he just says that as you get older, you have to unlearn these things. Absolutely. You have to unlearn stereotypes. You have to unlearn homophobia. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of comments from people that grew up in the same area, that people he was friends with, and they were trying to justify homophobia, trying to justify racism. And he had spent about 3 days explaining back to all of these people back and forth about unlearning homophobia and unlearning racism and things like that. And I had talked to him about a week after that status was posted, and I said, whatever happened with that? He was like, honestly, I just blocked all of them.
Oh, good for him.
And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
okay, you know, good for you. You know, like, you got your point across about what you needed to tell them. And, you know, they heard what you had to say, explaining unlearning homophobia and racism. But it's like, that's so shitty that there's people that you know personally who will defend that kind of things, you know. And it's
the crazy part is this, and I don't remember if I talked about this on a podcast or a pre-podcast or whatever, but I had a group of people here, and it was right after George Floyd's passing. Well, excuse me, when George Floyd got murdered.
Yes.
And, you know, everything was going on, and we all sat down and were having a discussion about it. I think it was pre-podcast. Like, we just wanted to talk about...
Before you went live?
Yeah, we just wanted to talk about it because it's sad and crazy, and it still is sad and crazy. And we were kind of all reflecting, and we were like, all of us in the room were white at that point in time, and all of us knew someone personally that's racist still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if people want to argue like, oh no, racism is dying or racism's dead,
it's not dead.
It's far from it.
I have a friend who's very accepting of blacks and Mexicans and Latinos and things like that. her grandparents and her parents are very racist
Yeah.
towards people of color. And she literally called me one night crying her eyes out because she says, why does my family have to be like this? Like, I try to explain to them, try to open their minds up, but they won't understand it. And it's so sad to see that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like, but sorry, I want to mention that, but back to your story.
Oh, no. I mean, it was just, we were sitting here talking about it. We're like, we were kind of like having just like a deep discussion about just
Before
our
you went live.
realities.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we went live. And I was like, I sat there and thought about it. I'm like, I got someone in my family who's racist.
Yeah.
I don't associate with this person, and it is 100% due to that.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is like, oh yeah, we have someone in our family too.
Yeah.
So
which
like it's much more common than people
think
it is. And then it's also very like not like a lot of people are very not outspoken about it, but still have that racism. And it's just, and we could have that whole conversation for another podcast, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
literally. But for right now, we're limited on time.
Yeah,
I
we're a
get
little
it,
limited
but
on time. What's up?
I have a controversial thought about racism. What's
You-
up, T-Poker?
Poker? You're welcome to share. You know, I don't know. It just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like,
Yeah.
some of my best friends are Spanish. Some of my best friends growing up were black. Some
Yeah.
like
You know what's funny
it's
about
just-
me? I actually, before I moved to Utah, I consider the city because the hometown that I grew up is considered the city to the reservation, but it's really not the city because it's very secluded. It's very close to the reservation, you know, but it's like, it's still a predominantly Native American school and stuff like that. So
Right.
I never knew anything about blacks, Mexicans, Polynesians, things like that.
Right.
So moving to Utah in 2009, it was so weird seeing all these different ethnicities to me. But it's like when I had started learning Spanish, which was about 10 years ago, I didn't know that my friend group was going to be predominantly Hispanic, you know? And I have so many friends who are predominantly Latin. And I have friends who I've gone on vacations with their families who are, you know, Mexican, whatever. And it's so crazy to me because it's like, if I grew up in the reservation, I'm not saying the reservation's a bad place. And it's like, I'm not saying they're racist because obviously my parents aren't racist. But it's like, for me, I feel like if I never moved to the city, I would never have learned about all these different cultures. I have friends of all ethnicities: black, white, Mexican, Bosnian.
Yeah.
I have Irish friends. I have French friends. You know, I have
Oh, yeah.
so many friends of different ethnicities and cultural backgrounds. And it's like, I'm very glad we moved to the city, even though in my culture, like, a lot of my cousins call me whitewashed and things like that. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? Like, at least, yes, I'm whitewashed, but at least I know my own language, you know?
Well, and you're
And-
cultured.
Yeah, I'm
You know.
cultured. I'm learning another language as we, you know, and I have Bosnian friends who tell me little slangs and things like that in their language. Like, I'm over here trying to learn as many languages as I can before I die. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I want to be educated in every culture before I die, and especially like black culture too. You know, like I told you, like I braided, you know, I braided hair before for black girls and stuff like that, and like they tell me about their culture and their heritage and what braiding hair means to them, and I respect that. You know, I to me, I feel like it's less than cultural appropriation and it's more of cultural appreciation. You know,
I agree 100% because I've actually I've never talked about this before either on stream, just because I don't really know how to go about it. But like,
and it's kind of controversial too. You can talk about it respectfully, and someone will twist it over and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're being disrespectful."
so I grew up where I have been more exposed to black culture, being music, comedy,
yeah,
movies, you know, everything a little bit more dominant, like more African American ran. Like
yeah,
I love rap music. I grew up listening to rap music. I grew up every night watching The Cosby Show.
and BET.
Pride. Yeah,
And-
BET.
Yeah, BET was a big one for me too.
I grew up watching The Cosby Show pre him drugging people. Well, not pre, but like before we knew.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, all of the what was the? I can't remember the other two big ones. Like I grew up watching all those shows and seeing how all these different families interacted and how they portrayed themselves, and like I've always like I don't consider myself part of any culture because I'm just a white kid in Utah.
Yeah.
But I love
You're
experiencing.
educated.
Well, I just love experiencing other cultures. I love listening to, from Norwegian folk music to African music to, Japanese J-pop, K-pop,
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
And I just don't know why in 2020 I'm not allowed to embrace it. And it kind of hurts my heart sometimes.
It's not that you're
so
not
important.
allowed. It's more like I feel like there's a lot of white people who do like to listen to it. I feel like for me, and I can't speak on the Black community or the Arabic community or anything like that, but for me, I feel like as long as you're appreciating it, it's okay. But there's also a difference between appreciation and appropriation.
Of course. Like I think where I get confused, right, is like the early days of Post Malone and him going on, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was, saying Post Malone's appropriating their culture.
Yeah. Is
being a white rapper with dreadlocks appropriation or appreciation?
Yeah.
That, and I know that conversation can be had on both sides, and I don't know. Right.
I don't want to get into that right now, but I get what you mean.
Right, and I don't want to get into it either because I don't have an opinion on it because I don't know.
I don't have an opinion either. He's a white guy, but it's like I don't want to get into it because I know we're limited time. But it's like someone said, I don't think there should be black music or black shoes or Chinese food or Indian garments. We're all human. It should just be music or shows. Why does it have to be classified race? I understand his approach, and I'm very open-minded to it, but to me...
I think it's fine for a culture to be prideful of what they create.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that, but I guess I get what you're saying, TV Poker, with like, I guess, labeling it as something specific.
Kind of like how a lot of white people like to classify Native American as alcoholics, there's like that not appropriation, but it's like people like to classify Native Americans as alcoholics, but there's so many Native Americans out there who aren't alcoholics.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it
almost
sucks.
like the stereotyping.
It sucks that we get put into that stereotype and things like that.
We'll end with TP Poker's comment here. So TP Poker said during the time of 9/11, people were profiling Muslims and Arabs because of the tragedy. Americans need to qualify a reason why this happened, and many were on edge when we saw an Arab person. I think racism stems from experiences people have with others. If I'm walking down the street and an Asian guy robs me, I'm probably going to be on edge whenever I see an Asian dude. You're right.
Exactly.
Wrong or indifferent. Yeah, I get that. I see what you're saying to a point. I think that it's just, I guess from my perspective, right? Like, let's say Calford robs me. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, wow.
I kicked Wes's ass or some shit.
I'll be like, wow, Calford's an asshole. I'm not going to think that all Native Americans are assholes.
Yeah.
And that's my perspective on it. Because, like,
yeah.
And we see that a lot on news, sadly, where we'll see a lot of not as much right now, but like 2015, it was always on the news, like, oh, African American robs this or shoots this or does whatever.
And then that's what caused the stir up of people being scared of African Americans.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Like, then now it started creating the stereotype when that's not the reality, that just maybe that guy was bad. Maybe that guy was a piece of shit, but who knows? What was he doing it for?
But I don't want to get controversial because we're running very low on time, but whenever a white person does something, it's so very minimal to hear about their consequences. And I don't hate white people, but I just wish they could experience the same consequences that colored people experience,
Well, I agree with you, because let's look at this. The last, 4 or 5 mass shooters were all white, and they're all still alive.
Exactly. But then you have people like George Floyd, who, yes, he did something wrong by faking a $20 bill, but it's like, if a white person did that, they'd still be alive to this day.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking $20 for someone's life.
Exactly.
That's the thing, is there's no quantifiable amount of money for somebody's life.
Exactly. But
No.
if you want to end this, go ahead. 'Cause-
Yeah, no, we can call. I gotta get out of here, but
Yeah, I gotta go home too.
We
I mean,
can-
I don't gotta get home, but I mean, I want to go home and tell my parents about all of this.
yeah.
Knowing that they watched this. So.
Yes, thank you, Calford's parents, for
Thank
watching.
you guys, Mom and Dad. I love you guys so much. But thank you guys to everyone who has commented and who has bear with us this whole conversation.
Yes. It's been a good one. We'll be back.
Maybe in a
What
couple
is your-
weeks.
What is your YouTube channel?
Oh, so my YouTube channel is youtube.com/my name. So it's like Calford Zani, CalfordZahne. No spaces, no periods, no underscores. I just posted a video today for the first time in like 5 years. So go watch my new video.
Yep. Love you too, TP Poker. Everyone here, Bieber, Salty. I'll be back later with more content, and
Your
then
girlfriend said, Calvert, tell us where to follow you.
Yep.
Yeah, basically, any social media you want to follow me on, it's just my name, Calford Zani. Like I said, no spaces, no comments, no nothing.
nothing. You got all the OG
I'm so original that I don't have to make up numbers and shit.
with those damn underscores.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll talk to Calford, and we'll try and get another date set up where we can either continue this conversation or talk about other crazy stuff going on in the world. So thank you guys again. Make sure to go sub to his channel. If you're listening to this on any other platform, YouTube, Podbean, Apple, Pandora, shout out to Pandora on there now,
Oh, Pandora.
Spotify,
Okay.
iHeartRadio, all those places. If you're listening there, hey, nice to meet you. Come watch us live sometime. All the links will be down in the description of where we are live, as well as Calford's YouTube channel will be in that description as well.
Same. Yeah.
So thank you guys. Have a good night. Bye.